Hey, what's up, beautiful people? It's Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, and we are here with a live stream today to discuss some goings on in the comic book industry and the comic book community, and just as comic fans, right? Got Headless Hammerhead in the chat already, holding it down. Yo, yo, yo. And got Fight the Good Fight. Always nice to see you guys in the chat. I appreciate that. I think we're going to have a special guest joining us a little bit later on. So we're going to talk about some of the topics that are going on right now. Let me pull up my notes real fast. Before I do get too far, I actually want to talk about something that's a little, this is a little self-promoting, right? Not something I do very often, actually. So I've been selling on Whatnot. I'm actually doing a Whatnot stream later today. I haven't done one in a long time. I've been doing YouTube auctions for a long time. There's a new platform or newer platform out there called Drip. And I was informed about Drip from my Sin City Venom. He let me know about it, and he's been selling on there. It's a little like Whatnot. It's cooler, though, in some ways, because it's free shipping for the buyer and for the seller, up to $10 worth of shipping per live stream per customer. So, like, if you went in and you had $9 worth of shipping, you wouldn't pay anything for shipping during that live stream. If you had $12 worth of shipping, it'd be $2 in shipping that you'd pay. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to paste my link in for my Drip profile, and I'll probably do that a couple times throughout the show. If you go and sign up, it's a little bit like what the Whatnot referral program was, except for you get $15 and I get $15. So it's kind of a win-win. So I am getting something out of that if you join using that link, but you're also getting $15 as well. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm probably going to do my first live stream on Drip probably early September. And I'm considering using that as my platform for a live stream veterans charity auction. And I'd like to do that pretty soon. That will probably be in mid-September. So if you're interested in sending in books for that, some people did that for the Venom charity auction we did for Psychotron, who obviously was hit by a drunk driver. He made a full recovery, thank goodness. But that's how we chose to support Psychotron, and that's what he wanted to do, which props to him for doing that. So we're going to do another one. I think this one, I'm 99.99% sure the charity will be Mission 22. That's a charity that Comic Man Andy, X11 Bravo, a lot of veterans in the community support, and I'm going to take their word for it, and I will probably use that as my charity. I just have to contact them probably and make sure that everything's okay to do that, and then we will be doing that as well. 627. What's up? How's it going? Zombie Prophet in the house. Got Rico's Renegades. K-pop holding it down. Yo, what's up? So Bogdan, you are Xenocide. Okay, cool. So Xenocide just joined my Discord server, and that's something that's going to come up a couple times today in the show. So definitely something to be aware of, is I do have a Discord server, and again, there's a link in the description below for that. So yeah, I'm going to be on Drip. I posted in that link. Feel free to check it out, or don't. Up to you. Super chat prize. There is a super chat prize for this stream. As mentioned, if you watched one of my recent videos, I'm doing a giveaway. You're going to love this, right? Sweet Paprika. This is limited to 400. This is number 152, and it's signed in pink there by Mike DeBalfo, the cover artist. This is a Collector's Choice Comics exclusive, and you can see their COA and everything is going to be on the back for you there. This is number 152 of 400. Now, want to clear up a misconception I've seen out there. Collector's Choice Comics is not a sponsor of mine. They're not paying me to do this. This is something where I was a customer of theirs. We'd had some kind of back and forth. Kevin is the owner over there, and he is a great shop. He's a great person in this community. And we just kind of got to talking, and we thought, hey, it'd be cool to give away some comics. So this is kind of just a partnership that we're doing to give away comics. I'm not being paid for this. I did get 2 comics for myself that are the Noctera and The Closet by Chin Potter, who's one of my favorite artists. So he sent those along. I didn't ask for those. He just sent those along. But we are giving away every comic that I got. I'm not keeping any for myself. Like the 2 for my personal collection are just other copies of the same ones I'm going to give away. So we got The Closet. This is a giveaway we're going to draw today as well. This one is signed by Chin Potter, and this is, it's got the COA on the back from Collector's Choice Comics. This, you had to go to my Instagram, and you had to follow me in Collector's Choice, and you had to tag 3 friends. So if you still have time to go do that, we're going to do this giveaway later in the show. So this is signed by Chin Potter there, right on the bottom. You can see his signature is the original ones on the bottom, and for the art, and then the actual new signature on there. So yeah, again, super chat prize. You can win this comic book. All you got to do is super chat. If you super chat, it gives you a position. So if you super chat $5, you get chances 1 through 5. When I do a random number generator at the end of the stream, whatever number wins this comic book. If I get some more super chats that kind of add up past the value of this book, this is probably, I think they're selling this for like 30 or 40 bucks on their site or something like that. So nice book. If we get past that value, I'll throw in a couple other books for you guys. But that's the super chat prize for today. I'm going to put up a little banner for that so you guys know what's up. And that'll be at the bottom of the screen. Again, we will have a special guest joining us later on too. Hey, Art Kermit's in the house. What's up? Buddy, how's it going, buddy? Collector P, Greg McPherson, Circumstances. We've got all the peeps in the house. Love it. Okay, so topics for the show. So there's one topic I'm going to wait to because I think our guest can speak to that pretty well. And for the other topics, let's see here. What is best to cover first? Let's cover the fluff stuff first. Let's cover the TV shows that have been kind of coming out recently. She-Hulk has now had 2 episodes. The second one premiered at midnight last night, and I already saw somebody on IG post something about spoilers for She-Hulk before 9 a.m. and I tend to agree with that. So I will discuss this, but I will do a spoiler warning when I get to that part. Okay. First, I want to talk about episode 1, and we're just going to do this real fast. Episode 1 of She-Hulk. Pretty much everybody's had their hot takes out there and all that. The thing that gets me about She-Hulk right now, I don't understand why it's so polarizing. I knew that it would be polarizing because She-Hulk was polarizing as a comic book. You go back a couple years ago and you have the debate between the people that don't like her drawn like the beefy, hulky character and the people that want her drawn like John Byrne drew her, right? So there's always been the athletic versus bodybuilder debate with She-Hulk. There's been the should she be a fourth wall breaking, willing to discuss like sex symbol type of jokes, or should she be more of like the modern comic book character with more like realistic superhero physique, which is a weird argument to make. And I've always been a fan of the John Byrne era, but I don't really care as far as that goes. So I liked episode 1 because there was a lot of John Byrne, fourth wall breaking. She had that kind of style that I'm most familiar with. So I appreciated that. A lot of people, it seems like either people love She-Hulk or they hate She-Hulk. And that part of what's going on, anytime there's one of these new shows that comes out, is just exhausting to me. I don't know how you all feel about it. I'd love to hear about it. I mean, as far as like the show itself, like that's cool if you love it. It's cool if you hate it. But why do we have to treat it like it's like a battleground? For one thing, I think the CGI looked better in the show than it did during the trailers. We heard, and I assumed this is the case from my experience with working with things that have CGI in them in the past, is that it's going to continue to improve because they're still working on it. The only people making it polarizing are the 30-year-old males. People are hyperbolic. Oh yeah, best post-credit scene. Yeah, so I guess if you haven't watched She-Hulk episode 1, the first one, I am going to discuss spoilers for that. I figure that's a week old. I think that's totally fine, right? Like if you haven't watched it though, you might want to mute for a bit or whatever. But yeah, the post-credit scene is hilarious in the first episode. I think that was really fun. I do think there's problems with the first episode. Like I don't think it's perfect. I think that it had a lot of origin story, a lot of introduction, a lot of this is where the character is. But also we kind of got that out of the way, right? Like we can move forward with the show now. I also think out of all the Disney Plus shows, this is the show that has felt the most like I'm watching an MCU movie instead of just watching a Disney Plus show. Loki was pretty close to that too. And I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier had some moments like that. But Moon Knight, WandaVision, What If, they all had this kind of, different feel. Miss Marvel, that felt a little bit more television. And that's not necessarily a problem. I enjoyed that. Like this to me felt a little bit more like I was watching the beginning of an Avengers movie or a Hulk movie. Yo, Kingdom Comics in the house. We got Sam here. Haven't had time to watch it yet. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling that. Can you drop a signal in chat? Yes, I can do that, Sam. Again, I'm talking about episode 1 right now, though, not episode 2. Episode 1. Hopefully that made some sense. Yeah, and I will. What I'll do is I will tell people I'm going to start talking about episode 2, because there's people that want to know, and there's really only one thing I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I think it's a good show. I think that it's got potential. There's 9 episodes in this season, if I'm not mistaken, and we're 2 episodes in. So my opinion of the second episode, not spoilers, is that it was actually a little bit more boring. It was a little more like narrative exposition kind of thing, not really a action or a lot of comedy necessarily, even although there was some. So now, real fast, I'm going to start talking about episode 2. Okay, spoilers for episode 2. I will drop a signal in chat. I'll say spoilers done when I'm done talking about it. Sound good? All right. So episode 2, the biggest thing by far, this is your final spoiler warning. The biggest thing by far is Bruce's conversation, or Smart Hulk. I wish they called him Professor Hulk, if they're going to call him anything. Professor Hulk's conversation, Smart Hulk's conversation with Jen on the phone, which that actually was kind of funny because she kept talking and wouldn't let him talk. And then, you pan out at the end of the conversation and you see that he's on the spaceship from episode 1 going off. That's it. That's all I really want to talk about. As far as relevance, because the relevance there is Sakaar and going back there, and whether or not we're going to see Hulk's son. I think I've got a couple copies of that book. I had somebody contacting me on IG about one of them. I think I might hang on to those until we see how this pans out. But here's what I want to say about that. Here's what I expect. I expect that we are going to see Hulk revert or change to a more aggressive Hulk. And I think we're going to not necessarily see the real World War Hulk series, like the one we expect, because I think we did some of that already. But I do think we're going to see him, this whole arc, it feels like it's building towards something. It's not just like Hulk is all hunky-dory. For one thing, I don't think he's as strong anymore as he used to be. I think the balance, I think he lost some of the strength with that. And I think we're going to find out the Hulk, the raging monster inside Bruce Banner that we all know from the comic books, especially the newer stuff, the Peter David stuff, everything like that. Even go back to Immortal Hulk, all that. I think that character is going to explode and be pissed off that he's been suppressed. That's my guess. I don't know that we'll see that, but that's kind of what I'm expecting to have happen. And then hopefully we'll get like a serious Hulk movie, or I don't know how they'll be able to do that. I know there's some rights issues with the movies as far as Universal not letting them make movies, but they solved it with Spider-Man. Maybe those rights have reverted. So I'm going to type into chat that I am done with spoilers. I can type. Okay, so we are done talking any She-Hulk spoilers as far as that goes, but just general impression of the show. I like it. I'm more excited about it than I have been in terms of watching an MCU show than I have in some of the other shows, and that to me is fun. And I just, with so much going on in the comic book community right now, can we not fight about She-Hulk? It's good to have impassioned arguments, but do we need to fight about it? That's kind of my tipping point there. Okay. Quick reminder for those joining in. This is your super chat prize. Right now it is up for grabs. Nobody has super chatted at all. Thanks to Collector's Choice Comics for making that our prize. Rico's Renegade says, why do comic evolve over social issues? Why do comics evolve over social issues? It's a deep question. I mean, comics are art. They're a reflection of the world. Although I think comics work best as an escapism, personally. I think there's room for comics as a allegory on life. I mean, just like, you could say Star Wars, as much as it is a piece of fantasy, space opera, that it has a lot to say about like the Vietnam War or the Cold War, mounting tension, stuff there. I think that there is always room for that, and that the best sci-fi usually incorporates elements of that. I do think that handling it intelligently and with some grace and not making it blatant is the best way to handle that, personally, because I don't want to read a comic book and know the writer's agenda right away. Wine me, dine me before you think you can 69 me. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, some of the first comic books, but the actual comic books, the idea of like the comic strip goes back much further than the history of the United States, actually. But yeah, it is interesting. I think politics and comics aren't necessarily something that should always be separated, but I don't think it's something that we need to have forcefully, put out there in a way that is going to turn off a majority of your audience. And I'm a very issue by issue person. I don't talk politics on the show, but I will tell you that like I'm not one or the other. It depends on the issue, and I have my own opinions on it. And I don't care about a platform or a plank. And it really bothers me to read somebody's work or watch their movie or whatever and know that like, okay, this is the side you're on. Everything you're saying is supporting this side. That's what it is. I mean, I'd rather have some nuance to it, especially in a fictional story, right? So, yeah, what happened? I got to call it up later, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we need to talk about some of the serious stuff going on. I guess what we'll do is I want to message my guest real fast and just see what they're thinking. Because this is a long topic. Okay, let me write them back. Okay, so that sounds a little bit quicker. So let's see, what can I talk about? I guess what we'll do is we'll lead into it. That's what we'll do. So let's share a tab. And you've probably heard people talk about this, so I'm not necessarily going to there we go. I'm not necessarily going to, deep dive into all this. But CGC Mike the other day, this was on Monday, posted, and I'll just read it real fast. We appreciate everyone being patient with their follow-up regarding the Clayton Crane acetate covers. After discussions this past week, CGC will assign a qualified signature series label to comics that contain an acetate cover by Mr. Crane, as well as a signature that has been witnessed by a CGC representative. This also applies to the Ultimate Fallout Facsimile Edition 4 that was sold in C2E2. The grade assigned will take into consideration the grade of the acetate cover as well as the interior book. For members who have already submitted copies of the Ultimate Fallout issue to CGC, we will extend an opportunity to have Mr. Crane's signature applied to their copies so they receive the qualified signature series label. If a copy does not exhibit Mr. Crane's witness signature, the book will receive a qualified grade. That's an important sentence. Going forward, CGC will only certify artist-created covers that are first approved by CGC, and those covers must be signed by the artist through the Signature Series program to receive the qualified Signature Series label. The cover must be created by a published artist. Interesting. So, oh boy, what are we talking about here? Just we randomly dump it into the first appearance of Venom. I mean, real fast, I'm not going to dive into it too much, but I'll tell you, 299 is the first appearance of Venom in my book. Although 298, you could make the argument for the first appearance of Venom. It's his hand, I believe, right? I want to say in 298, I actually have to, I forgot. I read him not that long ago, but I'd have to go back and double check. I want to say he makes a tiny partial body appearance or something, or maybe it's a shadow. I can't remember. But 299 is, he appears on the last panel there. It's the same thing as Hulk 180. Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. I don't care. I mean, that's just how it is. You can tell me that you think Hulk 181 is the first full appearance of Wolverine, and you could say that ASM 300 is the first full appearance of Venom. That's totally fine. They first appear in a panel in 299, and you can tell it's them. It's their body. They're, you know, I don't care if they talk or not. Even it's them, right? That's Venom. We know it's Venom. Looking back on the story, that's Venom, right? So that to me is the first appearance. You can make the argument for 298. You could even make the argument for the Peter Parker issue with the female's hand shoving, if you wanted to. But yeah, that's where I stand on that. That's a topic for another time, though, probably. Atomic Frank, that's a $10 super chat. Hey, you have to jump, it looks like. Absolutely, we will party hard. Looks like you're the only one so far. Atomic Frank is winning this sweet paprika signed by Mike DeBalfo for $10. And again, we get beyond like the value of that book, and I will definitely add some more books in. But Atomic Frank, thank you very much for your super chat. Those super chats do help me grow the channel. They help me pay for things like subscriptions to StreamYard, which is what I'm using to stream here. They help me pay for things like a subscription to CLZ and Cover Price and other tools that I use for the channel. So I really do appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so getting back to the issue at hand here. So I almost don't even care about this comment from CGC here, from CGC Mike, except for the one thing that I will say is, so 181, yeah, 181 is the book to own. Like if you're looking for the most valuable book, if you're looking for the best cover and the first full appearance of Wolverine, if you want to call it that, that's Hulk 181. Nobody disputes that, but it's not his first appearance. Probably because there's just a perception that it's a more notable appearance of the character than the what is often called the cameo appearance, which is fine. I like to say first appearance in cameo. That's the way I read it in stuff in the 90s. So, but anyways, we're getting off topic. Going back to this issue, the only thing I care about with CGC is that they've basically reversed part of their decision. Now, the timing of it, reversing part of their decision, I don't agree with. I've been on record. If you're not familiar with my stance on this, I stopped submitting to CGC some time ago, and I'm continuing that for the time being. The original reason that I stopped submitting to CGC were quality control issues and turnaround time. And really, if you think about it, this is like a giant quality control issue in one way of looking at it. And I think that it's just irreprehensible for them to be putting these books out there with the blue label, with everything that's going on. And then for all the time this has been going on, they've been following up with, we're standing by what we said. We're standing by it. We're standing by it. We're standing by it. We graded the books correctly. And in a way, that's if that's their stance, that's one thing. But now they have reversed their decision. So why? Why have they reversed their decision now? That's the other interesting question. It's got to be that they think this is the best way for them to save some face to move on. They think that this is like throwing the community a bone. It's the least damaging way for them to do it. There's some ways they can still benefit from this. And we can talk about that too. And you know, this post, the way the post is written, why the fuck are we talking about yellow labels? Why are we talking about signature series? Why? It's simple. The reason why is because they want you to send that book in and get a signature, get a yellow label on it. People, you know, it's got a little green bar at the top now if it's qualified, but it's mostly a yellow label. It minimizes the impact of this book. Most of the books out there will be blue label, or they'll be yellow with the green strip. They don't want the green strip, the green qualified label to be out there. CGC has been known to buy back books that they graded with mistakes, for one thing. That's something that happens. So it kind of makes me wonder too, are they going to offer that to people that send this in? Probably not. but I'm forced to kind of wonder what their motives are. None of these motives seem pro-consumer. This doesn't address the grades the books were given in the first place, which has been, as people have gotten their opinions on everything kind of settled into what they believe, right, based on the situation. Well, most people want to know why books got 9, 9s, and 10s. That's what they want to know. They want to know, I think Two Brothers raised the best point about it. Why did each acetate cover that Black Flag did with Crate and Crane, the Deadpool as well, why did they receive the same number of 10s, the same number of 9 9s, and the same number of 9 8s? What are the odds of that? Like, I can buy the argument that it's an acetate cover and it doesn't get it scored as harshly. And then people want to bring up Stray Dogs and they want to say, well, Stray Dogs it didn't get, 9 9s and 10s. Actually, Stray Dogs, by the way, did get higher grades from CBCS. There are copies of that acetate Stray Dogs out there that had a 9 9 on it. Fun fact. But anyways, covers are not made the same. We know a Marvel paper cover that, is that same interior quality paper is not the same quality as a cardstock cover from DC for their B variants that they do, right? Those are different types of covers. They're different manufacturing processes. Why do we assume that these two acetate covers were made the same? So there's an argument that could explain that. I don't believe the argument, but who should comment on what the difference is and why they were graded that way? CGC. They're the ones that should be talking about that. They're the ones that should have grader's notes on anything below a Gem Mint 10 to explain why it received anything lower than a Gem Mint 10. Shout out to Journos. I'm so sorry, I forgot. I think it's 360 Comics. It's a duo that came on his show. They pointed out one of them was at C2E2, it was at Boston, I think. And they had photos of the 10 and photos of a 9.9. The 10.0 had a blemish on the T of Ultimate Fallout, a red looking mark on the comic. The 10, the 9.9 took a picture of that too. He took the pictures himself. The 9.9 didn't have that blemish. So they will not, but they should. They should. Why not? It's not perfect. You saw something that made it not perfect. Explain. Right? That's literally, in my eyes, what I'm paying for. I am paying for you to authenticate the book, which they didn't do, or they decided not to do, or whatever. And I'm paying for you to explain what the grade is. Why is it that grade? And to stand behind it. And if you don't offer transparency into what that grade is, I can't assume you're standing behind that. It's plain and simple. So I quit using CGC a few months ago for unrelated reasons. My thought process was that I'd probably return once things settle down and I stopped hearing about rampant quality control issues back and forth. And I also understand that their output went up considerably. They had a lot of books coming in and they had a lot of books going out. And I would expect if you go from grading 100,000, I don't even know, 100,000 comics a week or whatever, to grading 250,000 comics a week. I have no idea. Their numbers, I don't know what they are. But I know it went up. And if it went up that much, I expect the physical number of errors to go up. Hopefully the same percentage, but maybe not, because they probably hired a lot of new staff and they had a lot of new people handling books. And it seems like that's part of the problem, by the way, with the quality control issues. It seems like they brought in a bunch of labor that is mishandling books. People are getting books back that are damaged, just completely separate from this whole incident. That's kind of what originally drove me away from CGC. Hey, Comic Journey in the house. How's it going? Again, we go back to the bad ID, Invisible. Yes, the Invisible, ironically enough, coincidentally enough, bad idea comics that were acetate sheets inside the plastic. It doesn't get better than that. You can't write that. Yeah, it's a lack of integrity. I think that immediately CGC regretted doing the bad idea invisible books. You could say it was a bad idea. Anyways, it's just one of those things that I don't understand. We have 55 people in chat. I do want to point out we do have the super chat prize giveaway tonight. So far, somebody is winning this for $10. Congratulations to Atomic Frank. This is limited to 400 copies, and it is signed by Mike DeBalfo. And that is a fantastic gift to us from Collector's Choice Comics. Not a sponsor. Anyways, it is one of those things that I don't understand. I don't understand their thought process behind this release other than to blow sunshine up collectors' butts. Because here's the deal. Here's the straight truth about what's going on here, or what's going to happen, I should say. We all see, there's 54 people in here. Most of us are probably upset about this. People there's tons of streams about this. This is a beat to death topic. Some people say, I get it. But there's all these people that say this is outrageous. We are a tiny, 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 tiny percentage of the collecting community out there that submits or buys or deals with CGC, or for that matter, even graded collectibles, graded slabs of comic books. And so there is, in my mind, no doubt that CGC is going to continue. I'm sure that those of us that care the most are going to stop submitting to CGC, and we're either going to submit to another grading company or not at all. And we'll get to some of the other grading companies here later. And I think that kind of is going to keep steamrolling. I mean, we have these you have Heritage involved, other auction houses, you have, all these machines of stores pumping out books. I mean, the story we're going to talk about later is with CBCS, and you had CMC, Clan McDonald Comics, which just straight up, I had never heard of Clan McDonald Comics before this. I'm not necessarily in touch or aware of a lot of big stores or groups like this, especially since they seem to mostly operate on Facebook. I just recently joined Facebook for the channel, and they said that they submitted like over 20,000 or over 200,000? It was some huge number to CBCS, and I never heard of them. I can't even imagine how many books these other large stores submit to CGC, because we know there's more business going on at CGC than CBCS. That's just by the market we can tell. And so there's got to be tons of these out there, of these businesses that will keep submitting to them. And until customers stop buying them, and until customers stop paying more for CGC versus other grading companies, and as long as people keep submitting them, it's going to keep happening. And all I can do is talk about it, give everybody in here a forum to have their opinions heard. And I can also tell you that I won't be using them, and I'm going to vote with my dollar. I'm going to vote with my dollar. That's how I roll. Let's get caught up with chat here for a second. If I miss your comment, there's more chat than I'm used to the last couple of live streams. If I miss your chat, feel free to put it back in if it's something that's like an important question you wanted to have. Promiscuous Time Traveler, thanks for joining the show, Promiscuous Time Traveler. Actually don't mind Bad Idea. They are trolls like me. Hey, what's up, Dale of Suspense? How's it going? CGC doing shady stuff. CBCS losing books. We can't. Yeah, exactly. It's it's a minefield right now. Trolls R Us. Do you know if anybody graded those dumb black flags, gave out about? So, Promiscuous Time Traveler might be the person to ask about this. There actually is a bunch of those that were listed on eBay, and I want to say somebody like jokingly made a graded one or something. I don't know about Sunshine, but they definitely blow. That's funny. It is hard work being a collector. I got 3 9s from CGC and no notes. First Shuri, first Anti-Venom, and the other was X-Men 266. Emailed them, and they said that Greater Note has the out. Yeah, and that, you know, I mean, to be fair, that's been their policy all along. But why? Why is that their policy? It makes no sense. Everything should have Greater Notes. It's not irresponsible of us to ask for that, because it makes that decision. Like, should I resubmit this? If you tell me, like, you know, it has light spine stresses that don't break color, cool. Well, maybe I'll go get that book pressed and resubmit it. It's actually, to some degree, it's in their best interest. But this is the recurring theme. CGC doesn't want transparency. They've shown us that. I will lovingly get up here and caress my beard and tell you guys that I want CGC to do that, but it doesn't make it happen. The copy that you purchased, yeah, Promiscuous, I saw that, and props on you for sharing the records of that in my Discord server. But I don't know, man. Speaking of troll moves, I don't know that really is helping anything along either. That's my personal opinion on that. But at least, you know, I'm in favor of transparency. At least you were transparent about the circumstances. And I am glad that the seller in your case was not angry about that situation. CGC, if you don't want to see a full green label, just pay more for the signature series and we'll throw in some yellow. Of course, this green text will be on the label. That is my ad pitch for CGC as Fight the Good Fight writes it. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, good times. It seems most of these issues with CGC started happening when, yeah, and that is like, look, when I made a nerd news video. If you guys don't know this, I used to make nerd news videos. One of them was about CGC being acquired by Blackstone. And as always, I am impartial to news. I'm like, okay, yeah, they did this. That's what happened. Let's see what happens. And we saw what happened. Blackstone, you know, apparently, either it's coincidence, which is unlikely, or there's been some kind of correlation between them having shadier business practices that are all designed around making money. CGC grades bootleg, CBCS, hold my beer. Yeah, there was a great meme I saw. I don't remember whose feed I saw it on. There was a great meme, like a CBCS tipping a beer over. And we'll get to that. Rico's Renegades. Steve at Climb McDonald's is a great store. I've been working with them for years now. That's awesome. I hadn't heard anything about them. I'm glad to hear that. I know it was. To be honest, I think CBCS losing books isn't on the same field as CGC's controversy just because they moved to a new location. Well, Sam, there's more to it than that, though. You have to vote with your money. 100% agree. There's a sure way that will motivate these companies to change for the better. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not willing to do that. Many complain and keep sending. And so here's the thing. CBCS, the controversy about CBCS losing slabs aside, I will tell you that I'm a firm believer that in general, if you take the history of CBCS and the history of CGC, and you take books they've graded on average, or even the vast majority, I bet you they're pretty accurate in their grades. Now, there are massive fuck up outliers from both companies. We know that for sure. And massive quality control issues at both companies. We know that for sure. But I think they're both pretty accurate grading companies. So to me, it's always been silly that CGC can get up, 20% more or whatever for their books, because it just seems like there's not as much difference there. For one thing, CBCS's new actual physical holder, their slab, I enjoy more than CGC's. That's a personal preference thing. It doesn't feel as flimsy to me. I don't like their label as much. Like most people say, I kind of agree. I made like a mock-up one even. But it's just one of those things where, like, I can say that about CBCS, but I'm not the market. Like I seek out CBCS labs and I try to buy them because they're usually a little bit cheaper. And if it's a key, like the way I look at it is, if it's a really big key, I bet you somebody down the road will pay for that when it becomes hot. And those are the kind of, like, either it's for me and I don't really care who graded it because I view them kind of similarly, or it's something that I'm holding for like resale. Like years ago, I was buying like Spider-Woman keys and stuff like that. Well, I was buying graded books, and I didn't care if it was CBCS. I didn't care if it was CGC. But the market obviously does care. And until we change that, what's gonna really change? CGC needs more grading centers. West Coast, well, let's let them fix their one grading center first. But I agree with where you're going. Oh, I'll get to that, Jolie. Jolly, sorry, not Jolie. If it's not a 10-0, it should have graders notes. I assure you, if enough people get together, I can see a class action lawsuit. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Been saying that for years. Oh, hey, Preston did a $5 super chat. Thank you, Preston. You are in there for the gorgeous signed Mike DeBalfo, limited to 400 copies, collector's choice exclusive, with the COA for the signature and the COA for the book there. That is awesome. Later in the show, we will also give away the closet. That's from the IG giveaway. You still have time to go enter that. That is signed by Chin Potter. So definitely check that out. Thank you for the super chat, Preston. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't know that last part. Okay, interesting. Thanks, Albert. Yep, that's something I was going to talk about too. Yeah, and then Xbox 360 Gamer, Xbox Gamer 3389. That is what I was going to talk about. Let me just check with my guest one more time here. See what they say. Yep, true. Okay, so that's kind of the issue with this. I mean, really, it comes down to the way the announcement was made. Makes me wonder if it doesn't really make me wonder. I don't know why I'm saying that. I feel like this is pretty obviously, it's the way they worded everything all along. It's the arrogance. It's this is the way it is. And so I just wanted to take a second to talk about that. I think that it's ridiculous that we're seeing this, and that it's just going, luckily those vocal in our community are talking about it, and I really appreciate that. That's why I wanted to make sure I talked about it. I want to make sure this doesn't go away, that people don't just like glaze over and stop thinking about this. I get that people think this is a beat to death topic. It's like beating a dead horse. I do get it. And of course, we'll talk about other stuff eventually too, and even in this show. But it's still important. It's still something that people need to know. Real fast, we will talk about one other bit of news. I have a guest joining in about 5 minutes, I'm told. And that's what Buddy was just talking about. And, I'll be honest, this to me, there's an angle of this that I'll cover. But CGC trading cards now grading Marvel cards is one element. This was announced shortly after all that drama. And the other thing, I think Buddy mentioned it above, is that TCG just got bought by eBay. It's more of this inbreeding by these companies. And not that this story is necessarily the same thing. But what kind of, to me, it goes along with, talking about these different grading companies and card grading. The eBay thing makes me wonder, keep in mind, eBay is almost certainly launching a service similar to Whatnot or Drip, like I'm going to be on now, soon, I would imagine. I know they're beta testing some stuff, and they're definitely looking into it. I need some caffeine. But like in the same like heartbeat that this announcement came out, because that news from CGC Mike was on Monday the 22nd. This press release dropped on the 23rd. And let's just say this real fast. CGC, why is CGC Mike on the C2E2 Variant Drama forum posting official updates about this book, and that's the only place? I know the answer, but you can do press releases, you can do Instagram posts, you can do emails. I get them. Tell us, speak up on it, be official. But no. Again, they want to minimize the impact here, make it seem as small as possible, not a big deal, admit no real fault, and move on. And now, speaking of moving on, now they're grading Marvel cards. Great. I still will not be submitting this. It's too bad. Like a year or two ago, I would have loved to do this. And the other thing, people are like, oh, their turnaround times suck, and they're releasing this. Well, I doubt it's going to be the same grading team grading cards that was grading, comics. I'm almost certain they're going to be using different graders. But and there's other places to grade cards. There's also other issues with other grading companies. Like, and not I'm talking like outside comic books, outside CGC. In the card grading market, TCG and any collectible cards out there, there's problems. None of these things are free from their drama or their conspiracies or their downfalls. So, yeah, that's funny. Yes, I agree. It should be. I'm not surprised it isn't, but it should be. Yeah, exactly. Just like I was saying, it's just to kind of keep things moving. And we're making new announcements, and this is, business as usual, and submit your Marvel cards. This is not a new game. People have been releasing press releases on a Friday at the end of the news day because they know it won't get as much news coverage going into the weekend. And then Monday they come out with a new announcement. This is like, quietly releasing an update on this on your forum and then going out into the world the next day and saying, look at this. Don't look over there. Look over here. There's something cool over here. This is what we want you to look at. This one makes us money. The other one makes us look bad. So that's what's going on there. And it's just, yes, it's news. I mean, I'll talk about it. I'll cover it. It's just more depressing news out of CGC is the way I look at it. CGC is trying to grade VHS now. I think grading video games. Yeah, I imagine it. I think it'll be a failure. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I haven't done exhaustive research on the other grades, the collectibles they grade. But I know, like, when it comes to sports cards, CGC is not. When it comes to like the non-sports cards, they're not like the name. They're not even like top 3 or 4, right? Like, let me know, card people. But I think that, like, and I can't blame them for wanting to enter a market either. That's fine, but they need to do it right. They refuse to be accountable for anything unless they are forced to due to revenue loss. Agreed. eBay can manipulate the price to collector cards just through TCG app. eBay pulls biggest trading card seller PWCC now to take their business over. Yeah, well, but okay. So again, I'm not very fluent in that, but wasn't there some controversy with PWCC? Didn't they do something that was kind of naughty too, though? Maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't tie into this. I'm just wondering. Hey, what's up, Mikey? How's it going? What's up? Just so you know, Mikey, there is a super chat prize. It is the Sweet Paprika. I'm going to keep pimping it because it's going for a song right now. Signed right there by Mike DeBalfo, and it does have the COAs on the back and everything. That is a gift to us from Collector's Choice Comics today. I have some 8 tracks. Yeah, well, I mean, soon, right? Hey, he's back. Well, I'm sorry your plan's folded, but I'm glad you're here. That's the important part. Well, and it's funny you say that, buddy, because I know just as many people that will say Beckett, they'll never give them their money. So that's one way to look at it. Okay, so we do have a guest that's going to be joining us here in a second. And we're going to kind of talk about one last element of the CGC Ultimate Fallout 4 issue that I think is important, needs to be addressed. And it does relate to CGC talking about the issue. And I want to bring this man in to discuss that here. I'm just waiting to make sure that he is ready to go. Maybe I can get a thumbs up for him so I know that he's ready for the chat. Okay, cool. We're going to bring him in. Guys, a warm welcome to one of the most awesome people in the community. Comic Man Andy is going to be joining us on the stream right now.
Oh, Pinky's out.
Pinky's out. Pinky's out. All right, I'll even join you there.
It's after 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I'm drinking
Almost.
coffee, so I.
Hey, this might as well be coffee. This is a 2019 barrel aged stout. So,
Ooh, nice.
how's
Well,
it
Comic
going,
Man Andy,
man?
I really appreciate you joining the show today. One of the things I wanted to start out with here is people that may not be following along. Comic Man Andy, from the start, there's been a lot of controversies surrounding this situation, and I just want to take a second to give you props for being transparent about what happened and from your perspective, for very early on, like from the con itself, you were willing to jump in and talk about things that happened, and kind of maybe help kind of, put people's minds at ease or clear up misconceptions or just offer some boots on the ground information to what happened. So I just want to say I appreciate that, and I think that's really one of the more positive things that came out of this is seeing some members of the community step up and offer that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's one of those things where you can kind of talk to what happened and what you saw, but just remember my perspective and what I saw is really only one small portion of the giant pie that everybody's been able to put together over the past 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do want to thank you for joining the show. I know you were asking me how's it going when I started leading into all that. It's going pretty well, actually. So how are you doing today?
Oh, better now that I'm here hanging out with you guys.
Right on, right on. Oh no, we have a new show name, Beards and Booze. Coming in.
There you go.
I love it. It is a beard competition, but I lose. I mean, Comic Man Andy has a luscious and wonderful beard. I enjoy it. Going through it right now. Mine's over there. I can't do it. So one thing we're going to talk a little bit about an update to the situation. But for people that haven't been following your update videos, like I said, you've been doing those. What can you kind of give us a quick recap of what happened with your situation with the Ultimate Fallouts leading up to what you talked about today?
Oh, man, a short recap. Well, like most other conventions, the status quo is kind of like 2 copies per person, $20 to $60, yada yada yada. And we were walking around kind of wondering, well, what basket should we put our eggs in? Like where do you want to be so that you don't miss out? And nothing was really popping out. Unknown comics, we wanted to hit up that. We wanted to hit up the Comic Man, kind of some of the standard quotes, see some of our artist friends. And then, eventually your eye kind of catches when you start to see a line form, you're like, huh, all right, let's go check out the line at Black Flag, because that's where it started. There was a handful of people already there. And you walk around, and I saw some of the stuff they had posted, but they didn't have that UF4 acetate posted. It wasn't until we were in line that somebody in front of us showed us a picture on Facebook, and you can't really scrutinize a picture on Facebook really all that well on a phone. But I'm like, I instantly like, okay, we're going to stand here and we're going to see if we can get our 4 copies and then see where we can bounce next. Yeah. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, okay, personal copy. Let's do a giveaway this weekend. That would be really cool. Let's do a charity auction for Mission 22, because we're always kind of looking for what some of those books are going to be, the harder to get books to do charity stuff too. And then the 4th
Especially
copy, we
that
had
book with the theme of it.
Yeah, that theme, once we saw it, before we could scrutinize it deeply, a tribute to fallen heroes, I'm like, this would be great. This would be a good opportunity. And a 4th copy for an artist friend who is a veteran. And then you're kind of standing in line, and all of a sudden there's, the price hits, and you're like, oh, wait, how much? Yeah. And then a little while later they show up, and it's like, wait a minute, no limit. And then your brain kind of freezes, and my brain instantly goes, wait a second, so you mean I can have more than one conversation about Mission 22 in a charity auction? Interesting. And then, of course, Chip Gittler's on the other side, and we're looking at each other, and he's messaging me, man. He's like, if there's no limit, can you help get a copy? And I'm like, we'll figure something out. Friends are in lines. We all kind of do that, where it's Con 101. You kind of group up, kind of split up. Some people go to other people are further back in line, and everybody tries to help each other out, right?
Or people split up lines so you can make sure you kind of spread out the love and not have to lose out on all the deals and kind of, all change copies afterwards, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like comic book convention 101. And then when they drop the books off in front of you as you're trying to pay, they're cover to cover. They're all cover to cover, because that additional acetate bows out the spines.
Yeah.
So I imagine they were having a hard time packing them. So what do I not do? I don't look at the book. I pay, I walk away. Here's the cover for an artist friend. Here's a cover for another friend. And then I'm like, okay, well, we got to grade some of these, because if it's really a 750 print run and we grade a couple, they could potentially see pretty good return for charity auctions.
Yeah.
Still haven't looked at the cover. The first thing we did is we walked right down that aisle all the way down to the Whatnot booth, and we're like, all right, we're going to do a giveaway. This is going to be really cool. I'm sure somebody's going to be happy to give this book away. I take a picture, and Jay Stashlu is back in there. And Jay, that beautiful son of a gun, was so darn good looking that the camera would only focus on him and wouldn't focus much on the cover of the book. So that kind of came out fuzzy, and it's kind of funny looking back on it now, because I stared at the phone and I stared at the cover on the phone trying to take a picture, and I still didn't see the flag, and I still didn't see the issues. And in my head, I'm just like, oh, I'm just really excited, like a chance for a giveaway. There's this charity stuff that we're going to do. We're going to go hit up the CDC booth and drop off books. And then the comments kind of start floating around in the community as soon as like later on that Friday, like on the con floor, about additional staples, and like, okay, well, Stray Dogs and CDC is still kind of, there ended up being 3 iterations of what they were going to do with the label, right? What they had already done, what they were going to do, then what they were going to change it to the in trust, or add the in trust and have it spelled IN, if I remember correctly. Right. And then now they were going green label. So we dropped our books off to get graded with the anticipation of blue label, and with what they were saying, because in my head, I'm like, I'm not anywhere near as experienced in the variant game as a lot of other people are. So I'm not anticipating changes. Yeah. And we dropped those off, and then everything spiraled out of control.
Well, and let's talk about that for 1 second, just because I think timeline matters here a little bit. When you, like kind of going through the story here, when you drop those off, you're still at the convention. We all know that on a convention floor, you're probably not getting like the best signal for seeing all the buzz that's starting to happen. By the way, most of the buzz really didn't start to happen until about, I would say, until about Sunday or so was really kind of when it seemed to kind of really be out there. But so you did that, basically you already saw CGC graded copies, or you knew obviously they were there at the booth. So you knew that this was probably an official book. Like there was probably no doubt in your mind that this was an official book at that moment in time, right?
Right. We didn't have to scrutinize it if they're selling copies. Yeah. And mind you, nobody's buying those. Everybody at the front of the line, everybody's like, I'm not paying $500 for a 9.8. You're crazy. Everybody's kind of chuckling like, that is astronomical. And I don't know where that's going to land on the end as far as value there, but we're all like, no, we're going to grade our own. That's why we have accounts. And you're right. Saturday was about how Black Flag handled the release. And that's why we wound up on Thorough for a little bit, hanging out with those guys and kind of talking. And then it wasn't until Sunday, CDC submission done, the con's kind of coming to a close, and everybody's packing up. And then you go out to dinner and you're getting reception. And then people are actually being verbally abusive to others in the community. And it's really disheartening and heartbreaking, because many, many, many people out there will always go by the adage of buy what you love and love what you buy. Two Brothers Comics, collect your way. We all have different collecting styles, and it was really heartbreaking to see the community just fall upon itself. And opinions are everybody's got opinions. It's okay to talk about them, but it's not okay to do it in a way that is harming and defensive to other people. Not defensive, but disarming to other people and offensive. And that's kind of how comments were being said with Venom. And immediately, like, our books are gone. CGC takes your submission on the con floor, and the management on the con floor packs those things. They are dropping them off at FedEx there. Like, it's hitting FedEx and going to Florida that day, that Saturday, that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday, that Monday, gone. There's no going back. And we all know on that CGC form, it says, by clicking this, I cannot cancel, I cannot change my order. Right. And to cut right to the chase on that, it's like, I clicked that like everybody else does, but I called them. I think it was like, we drove back Monday afternoon, Monday evening, talked to some friends, Double O in the chat. I talked to him for like an hour and a half on the way home, kind of gauging what he knew and how things were happening. And because I was getting personal messages from people that were not great by any means. But
I imagine.
So then it was like Tuesday, things were really spiraling out of control Monday night and Tuesday. At this point, it's like I'm calling CGC and I'm like, I'd like to cancel. I was like, I'd like to cancel this order. And they're like, well, the sweetest, nicest lady ever is like, well, sir, this and that. And I'm like, okay, some extenuating circumstances here. What we did is we submitted these books with the idea of auctioning them off to go to charity once they got back and they were graded. And we feel like the controversy behind this book is too toxic and not something that we can bring towards this charity and not something that they want to be attached to by any means. And she helped me fill out an appeal, which I didn't know was a thing that you could do. So we did that and didn't hear back until today, which is why we're here.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and pull up some stuff. You were nice enough to help me get this all in line here. Let's see. There we go. Let's see if I can add this to the stream here. Okay, so kind of jumping into what happened today. You got some information from CGC regarding these books, and you kind of want to go over what they told you here and kind of what happened for you today.
I mean, case in point, it's right here. The only thing missing is my name at the top and my email address. And they talked about options, and immediately I start getting a little worried. I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not seeing anything but dollar signs on option 1, option 2, option 3. These are the signature options. And they talked about this. They put something out in the community not too long ago. I can't remember if it was an email or so they messaged somebody, or no, it was on the CGC forums. They talked about having people, they were going to go green label, and they were going to give people the option to do a Clayton Crane signature, which would give them the yellow label with a green bar at the top, qualified signature. And then I responded to that. I think it was Mike on the CGC forums. I'm actually on the CGC forums as well. And I responded to that and I said, well, hey, what about the option for cancellation or returning of the books? I called and requested that, a day or two after CGC had closed and finished and hadn't heard back. And he responded with the, hey, if anybody asks me questions, I'm unfortunately unable to answer those. Mike's
I saw that.
So my understanding of what Mike does is he hears from management or from CGC support on what the decisions are, and then he goes to the forums and reposts them. So they're not his decisions being made. He's just kind of carrying that message forward. So at the end of the day, a lot of people were talking on that, and I just decided that, well, I better sit back. I've done my part. I've voiced my opinion. At the end of the day, what happens, and I can only control what I'm going to be able to control, just like the comments and everything else that's happening out in the community.
Yeah. For sure. Now, I mean, luckily though, when it came to the options though, they did give you a wonderful option because it's what you asked for, not to begin with, but when you first kind of were wrestling what to do with these books. And so that is fantastic. I'm glad that was one of the options. If it hadn't been there, that would have been a problem for sure, in my opinion. Not that there's not already enough problems to deal with this whole situation. Can I ask you something? Like, I don't know if you've spoke about this part of it publicly yet or not, but how do you feel about them offering this signature option to begin with? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's like a gas station. They're going to offer diesel. They're going to offer regular gas. They're going to offer recreational gas. They're not going to, I mean, they got to offer options. I mean, they are a company that serves one of the largest collecting communities out there, just only second behind like sports cards that I can think of, and maybe Pokemon cards. And they're not, what's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander, so to speak. Like if they tailor their response to the 10, 20 or 30% that are voicing their opinions, what does that look like for them going forward? I get it. Like, it's not something I can control. Therefore, it's not something I'm going to get upset about. But as you guys can see, what we're talking about here is I've gone with option 3. Just give me the books back, save me that money. And then I can make that a future Andy problem and figure out what to do with them when they get here. Because at this point, I still don't even ungraded. I don't know that that's something that I can. We want to find a way. We want to find a way. There's a collector for everything. But at this point right now, the community is pretty much not happy with anybody that has a copy of this book. And that can be seen by my post on Instagram today, where this is what you're showing here. I posted that on Instagram, and there were several individuals that were To cut to the chase, basically, like everybody that has this book is only out for the money. And there were a few messages that I deleted, but everything that, let me rephrase that, private messages, not messages on this. The comments that are on that IG post are left unadulterated, and people are sharing their opinion there. And some of them aren't great, and some of them are fine. But
yeah, and I mean that's something that from the get go with this, people that may not, I don't know why. I guess I don't know why anybody really would know this. I made a video pretty early on about this stuff, and I was wrong on some counts in that video. I was right on other counts in that video, but I reported what I knew at the time. And from that jump, for me, I've been pretty involved in this situation just because a lot of information I felt like was coming to me. And the information that was coming to me that I was able to share because it wasn't a private or confidential or entrusted conversation, to use a terrible pun to use right now, as long as it wasn't one of those types of privileged informations, I was relaying that to the community to keep people aware of what's going on. And because of that, I was getting a ton of content. I mean, we're talking like probably for a few days, I was probably averaging about 50 to 100 unique people messaging me a day about stuff that's going on. Did you see this? I heard this from a friend. I know somebody who's at Boston. I know somebody, like this is what I saw. You see this video? This is going on. Somebody at so-and-so said this. And a lot of it was, stuff I already knew, and I thanked people, but a lot of it contained, who are the influencers? How come you're not naming names? I don't know why my Google speaker is talking to me, but it is. It was a lot of people really wanting blood, basically, wanting to. Hey Google, stop. I'm so sorry to anybody that's using a smart speaker out there, but hey, they do what they want sometimes. So it's just this thing that I've noticed from the beginning is there's this like intense, and I likened it, and I think this is the right metaphor. It's kind of a witch hunt for people. And I will say I get parts of it with the way some people went out and reacted to the information. Again, I'm not somebody who's here to name names. I don't enjoy that part of this conversation because I think I can form my own opinions about those people. Some of them I had my own opinions about before they said anything. And that's just, I move on. I'm not a big gossiper. I don't care about clicks. I don't care about any of that stuff unless it affects a lot of other people. And I can understand when it gets to that point. But when it comes to, like I said at the beginning, the way I introduced you and brought you into the show, you from the beginning, Comic Man Andy, have been stand up about what happened, tried to correct misconceptions, tried to just explain like what happened for you and what you saw. I saw a comment in here earlier, like yours is your story hasn't changed. You've been saying the same thing. You've been open and honest about that. And that to me is something that when you add to the fact that the majority of what you were trying to do here is benefit a charity that you've worked with for a long time, that you're a well-known supporter of. It's a fantastic charity that I think deserves all the support in the world for this. Not for this, but for anything, it deserves support. Charity I want to work with. I want to do a charity stream to support that particular auction. That is Mission 22, by the way. And in fact, I was on an event with you where you got your time and you said, thanks for welcoming me in. That's awesome. Hey, what I want to talk about is Mission 22. Here's what you can go do. That is all you talked about. And I still get ripped for doing that. But it's you're wearing your heart on your sleeve for something that really matters. And as much as there's been some toxicity in the community directed at people and some toxicity from the community directed at members of the community, that's also happened. There's also something to be said for taking a minute to appreciate you going out of your way to be transparent about what you're doing. That's something I've been talking about this entire time when it comes to CGC, when it comes to Black Flag, when it comes to CBCS, which we're going to talk about later in the show. It's about that transparency piece and talking to people and telling them what's going on. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody unknowingly gets involved in things that they're like, oh crap, I didn't see how this was going to unfold, because nobody has hindsight until it's over. But how they handle those issues, how they move forward from them, what they do speaks volumes about them. And you wanting to pull those books from CGC and realizing like there's just nothing good that's going to come from that, I think is very important. And I'm glad that you've been forthright in sharing that. And I am sorry that that's led to people spreading more of that toxicity, unfortunately. But I mean, I don't know what else anybody could have asked of you in this situation. And when you were talking to me about that day, I just wanted to make sure that's something that we got up here and said, as well as providing some context to what CGC is saying about the situation now too. So
right. Well, I greatly appreciate that, man. And it's collecting through honesty and integrity, right? Because one of the biggest things we've all learned over the last handful of years is this community here and within YouTube and Instagram is amazing, and it's readily accessible at all times. But that also means that we either need to develop a persona or be ourselves. And if you're going to be yourself, you gotta be original. You gotta have integrity. You gotta be honest about it. And that's kind of one of the things. Like, we all collect comic books. We all have X amount of space. We all run out of X amount of space. So what do we need to do sometimes? We need to buy, sell, and trade. So keeping things integrity based and keeping honesty in the game means that when I go and see, this is where some of the toxicity kind of spills over and where some of the comments come with a little bit of venom is I, like many other people, have run out of room. I utilize Whatnot as a platform amongst others to move books that I need to have gone. And it isn't necessarily about a money thing. And a lot of people only see dollar signs, whereas a lot of us see more value in gaining space and helping to build and educate new collectors into the comic book community, into the market, because that was like one of the things that I saw with that Fallout 4 book. That acetate cover was one of those copies I wanted to devote to a YouTube giveaway. And this is, I really, really wanted to keep this close to the chest because it's intellectual property that I was really proud of that I came up with. But I had the idea of doing a YouTube subscriber giveaway on my channel that was a convention pack with convention necessities, a battery pack, a water bottle, some of people's favorite convention necessities. And then here's like the hottest book from C2E2. Here's like a couple of little extras, and do like one big giveaway for somebody, and hopefully that lands on a new community member that's never been to a convention and now has everything they need.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That sounds fun. I think that's important. It's just when you're speaking to the point you just made too, when you're talking about there's this whole thing that I get from some viewers about selling comic books, having sponsors on my channel, when money gets involved. And my answer to that is, well, I mean, I spend a lot of time doing this. It may not seem like it, but it is a lot of time and energy I devote to this. And I've been fully transparent about it at every step of the way. Like, this is where money is coming from for me. This is where I'm selling comics, and trying to hold myself to the highest standard, the standard that I would expect anybody out there selling me comics to be held to. And on top of that, it's like this notion that like anybody who's a collector that sells comics is evil. Well, I mean, so the only people that can sell comics are comic book stores? How are they really any different? Most of those are collectors that own a store, that own a storefront. They have their own personal collections. Generally speaking, there's some that don't, and they sell comics. I don't think they're the only people in the world that should be allowed to sell comic books and do it in a moral and right way. Of course, you have to take into account that there are people out there that do very shady things when they sell comic books, and that's its own issue. There's comic shops that do that too. So I think it's just one of those things where we have to be critical. This is what I always talk about on this channel. I'm not going to try to change the way anybody thinks. That's for them to decide. What I am going to do is raise questions and hope that people think for themselves about what they really believe. And I'm always going to try to play devil's advocate to some degree, because I think that if you have a strong conviction, or if you have a belief in something, challenging that belief is the best way to strengthen it, or to maybe find out that, hey, guess what? I should actually have a different belief, and really kind of decide what you truly want to do going forward. So that's kind of the way I look at things. And I'm glad to see some more honesty in the community, and really wanted to take a second to highlight that.
Well, that's what I really appreciate about you, brother, is over the last 3 weeks, right from the very get-go, you and Chip Getler, like Chip was one of the first people to post a video that I can think of. And that video, he was kind of frustrated, and here's what his experiences were. But you were one of the first people that wasn't there, that started creating content to gather information, hear sides of the story, and pull out what's factual, what's non-factual, and observe things, not just observe things, but actually have healthy, and I'm gonna emphasize that heavily, have a healthy conversation of what's happening. You know what I mean? Because there
Yeah.
are several other bits and pieces of content out there where it's not healthy and trying to direct aggression or direct blame, or it's a human nature to want to find an answer to a problem or to want to direct blame when there's something going wrong, right? Like people like
Yeah.
instantly want to divert, like and you were one of the first people out there creating content that wasn't actually there on the con floor, that was having healthy conversations and healthy debate. So I really want to say thank you, and that's really appreciative. Thorough too. Thorough was having a lot of debate there. I know there was a lot more energy there. Give credit where credit is due for Thorough for some of the topics that he's discussed there. But I really appreciate what you brought to the table, man.
I appreciate you saying that. It's definitely one of those things where there's been a lot of discourse from a lot of community members. And look, I don't always agree with that discourse. I don't always agree with what methods are being used to speak about things, or their talking points, or what they're bringing up. But I do think it's important that those of us that are in that community that is under a lot of scrutiny right now, as it should be, I understand that, we use the platforms we're on to get the conversation moving, because there's a lot of real issues that come out of this. And I personally, and I know this is something that I've seen several comments in chat, I think there's a lot of issues with Black Flag here. There's a lot of issues with convention behavior here. There's a lot of issues with CGC. There's a lot of issues with Marvel. There's different issues all around about who's saying what or not saying things, or how they have handled business, that do need to be discussed. And I understand that, individuals that were involved have their own particular issues that might be involved here too. But I think, again, it's up to that individual to talk about that. And it's up to each person, in my opinion, to form their opinions on those people. And it's just like anybody that's out there in the real world, like attacking them on social media or with some venom. These, for the most part, I can speak to this. Most of these people that you're talking to about this stuff, I'm talking about people that are out there going and leaving these DMs that are kind of nasty. They're not used to this kind of stuff. This isn't something that they get all the time. I mean, to a certain extent you do, but a very small percentage of people actually come in and want to spit venom. But it's not like they're being paid millions of dollars, and that shouldn't give you some excuse to go do that anyway. But there's none of that's happening. I mean, they might be making money, but it's not the kind of money you might expect, like sports athletes or movie stars or whatever. And honestly, it really bums me out when I see that happen to those people as well. They're probably taking steps to insulate themselves from that, and to hire PR and all that kind of stuff. That when you're DMing these people, they're usually directly reading those messages. And I think constructive criticism, I think asking questions are both totally valid. But when you come in and you just come in with a hot take, or you're trying to tell somebody what happened when you weren't even there, I prefer people seek out information myself.
I laugh not at the individuals that messaged me, but I woke up Saturday morning in Chicago, like, all right, it's gonna be a good day. Let's have some breakfast. Look at my phone. You need to be transparent on what took place and what you purchased there. And I'm like, give me a garbage for this phone, because I don't know what's happening right now, but I laugh now, but yeah, I don't have a PR agent. I'm not an influencer. I am not an influencer. My channel on YouTube, Comic Manity, is only the doorway into this community so that I can stay connected and I can meet and grow with other new people, because as we all age and our collections get older, or we collect more, we grow and we refine like a good wine, right? So I'm not an influencer by any means. So for people to be messaging me about this, I'm seeing this firsthand, like you said, and I'm like, what? I mean, a little hurtful at first, and then when you realize where some people are coming from, I get it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can only control what I can control.
Well, and the last little note I'll talk about on the specific C2E2 stuff is, I think that this is something that set things off. Chip's video, White Shadow, on YouTube, if you're not familiar, in my video, both referenced line cutting. Now, I was questioning whether or not that happened. Chip was talking about it. And I have spoken to a lot of people that were in that line. I'm not going to say who I talked to or whatever, but I've talked to a lot of people that were at the front of the line. I've talked to a lot of people that were in the middle of the line, further back. Chip, I props to White Shadow. He went back on his channel and he did a video kind of trying to explain, hey, this is what it looks like. Hey, if any of my mods are in chat, can we take care of the Russian cyber attack we're experiencing? So I will say that from all accounts I have, as somebody who wasn't there, reports of a lot of that stuff may have been greatly exaggerated by people that may have been experiencing a lot of this toxicity towards them in the first place. Let's just say that there's a really good chance that some of those people were there early, waiting like anybody else who wants to buy these comic books. Now, I'm not saying no line cutting happened. I'm not saying there's anything that happened there that wasn't above board. I mean, there are things there that are questionable that I think that is the stuff I love to talk about with this is like kind of this con behavior that happens. There is like these, backroom deals that sort of happen when they get kind of put out in front of people. They're going to make people angry and mad. And that's where I've said before, if I'm that company that's selling those comic books, I think there should be transparency involved in like, hey, we gave 100 copies to so-and-so to sell in their store. First thing, it's advertising for their person that they're working with as well. It's letting people know how many copies are available. And if anything, if you're a company, let's say you had 750 copies of a book, and you're saying, really, I only have 400 to sell to the people in line, that just makes it more limited anyway. Like in a way, like I know there's other places they can go buy them, but they're thinking, oh, those are going to sell out first. Hey, I should go here and get in that line. I think it would just help them to some degree, kind of create a scarcity there anyway. But I really just want to caution people, before you throw stones, really think about the fact that some stuff may not be as you thought it was.
And I own a big chunk here. Because like I said, one of the first things I did is we've packed them up into the boxes to throw into the bag. Where's the first place I went? Where's the first picture of that book on IG getting posted? At the Whatnot booth. Yeah. So I own a little bit of that because that made it look like it was a Whatnot thing, and it was not a Whatnot thing. It was, I have a streaming platform on Whatnot, and I was planning on doing a giveaway to help promote an artist that I was having on and help promote that show. And also to give a book to a community member that probably wasn't going to have a chance to get one. So that I may have added some weird element to where people saw that and immediately thought it was a Whatnot thing. And I apologize for that. That was inadvertently probably some of my fault there. And I own some of that.
Yeah. That's something that I made a pretty long stream where I tried to kind of try every pain point that people had. I tried to make sure we went over it. And one of my big ones is, people throw Whatnot into this, and I think tangentially they're involved. I mean, that's not as like because they're on the sales floor, on the con floor, and people are selling the book from the con, it's going to be the highest visibility. But the point I raised is no one talks about other websites that were comic retailers that were selling the book that day. No one talks about eBay sales that were listed that day from the con floor, because there isn't a direct, obvious association for people to point to, but it still happened. So why is it fair for Whatnot to get all the blame in that in the first place? I don't really think it is. I do think that there are things that it's okay to be critical about when it comes to, people worrying about, hey, if people do go buy up all the copies and sell them on Whatnot, it means people at the con don't get a fair shot at them. Well, I come right back to that's probably a good time where you should, as a retailer, have limits in place, which in this case there wasn't, for people, to make sure they don't end up with too many copies. So people do have that shot. I mean, most collectors, I don't think are gonna have a problem if you said, I went to Black Flag, I bought 2 copies of this comic book, one for me, one to sell, or one to give away, one to sell, or even 2 to sell. I don't think most collectors are really going to have a huge problem with that. If you go and say, I bought X number of copies, it starts to get a little insane, and people hear that and they think that person just sold, 150 copies of this book or whatever. Well, no, they probably divided that up amongst other people. And you could say there's no difference with that too, I guess, but I think there is shades of gray here that need to be examined and spoken about. And we're probably ending the narration about all this topic and all that stuff, but I think it is something that it's important to have those truthful conversations and get things moving. I do want to address one point I saw in chat here that I think is important. Film Age Studio says, I have a question. Why can't you name names? I didn't say I can't name names. I'm not going to name names. And I'll tell you why. The biggest reason I'm not going to do that. The biggest reason I'm not going to do that is because I don't view myself as a journalist, but on this particular situation and some other situations, I'm trying to cover this as close as I can with some journalistic integrity and naming sources. If you want the information that I provided, some of these things were very important pieces of information. If you want that information, if I go around saying so-and-so said this, I'm not going to get that information to relay to you. That's one reason why. Another reason why is because I saw early on how people were treating some of these people, and I knew some stuff, and I also knew what I didn't know. And so if I give people information that can lead them down a path that is potentially destructive to certain people, and it doesn't actually come from a place of honesty, I have then just committed two wrongs, and it's definitely not going to make it right. That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to giggle at this question because my brain instantly thought that this was a dad joke. How come you can't name a name? Like I immediately thought dad jokes. I started laughing at first, and then I realized, oh no, he's being serious about that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I mean, I also get it. I get why people have a need to know. I mean, I think it ties into the same reason that people want to see the latest, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard gossip or whatever, right? Like I think we have a desire to do that in our lives because it's how a lot of things function. And other people might do that. I think there's plenty of that out there already. If you're truly curious about it and you can go find it, it's not hard. I just don't think that's the best way to move the conversation forward to fix the real problems that to me pretty clearly led to this being an issue. That may have been what kind of lit the match on the whole thing. But it is not the big problem here that deserves to be fixed. And I think the best way, if you don't like the people that did that, the best way to do it is to not support them. That's my opinion on it. This
feels like it's been the comic book collecting summer of here, hold my beer. Because between CGC, between the grading companies, between exclusive releases, it's just, how could we make this summer even more challenging?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was actually going to ask you. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the CBCS thing here next. Are you down for a little conversation on that?
Yeah. I've definitely got time. Yeah.
Cool. Right on. First of all, huge shout out to Expensive Paper. Threw in a $19.99 super chat. Watch both y'all's channels. Keep up all the great work. I really appreciate that. If you didn't know, Expensive Paper, you're actually entered for a chance to win tonight's super chat prize. This gorgeous Mike DeBalfo Sweet Paprika cover signed by Mike DeBalfo. Limited to 400 copies, and that's a gift to us from Collector's Choice Comics today. Really appreciate that. We're also doing another giveaway later in the show for a post on my IG, which is a Chin Potter signed The Closet. So go follow my IG and figure out the instructions for that so you can get entered to that before we do that.
Do you want to address one more comment, or are we moving along?
Let's see. Is it something that appeared later in chat here?
Nope. Right here at the Decor, one of the most recent.
Oh, Decor. Chats. Oh, yeah. Decor. What's up? Certain sellers buyers at the Black Flag booth were literally only there because Whatnot put them there. They were representing Whatnot, even wearing Whatnot gear as they were pictured while buying. Did you want to have first crack at that, Andy?
Yeah. As being a person who was there, who was waiting in line, who was also streaming from Whatnot that weekend, is Whatnot did not put anybody up to that. So it was a core group of friends, like I'd kind of talked about in another stream, is like, hey, we should walk around and see where we want to put our eggs into what basket. Whatnot had nothing to do with this. None of the actual employees of Whatnot were out there on the floor. Now, there are streamers that might have agreements, but they're not Whatnot employees. So Whatnot didn't have a foot in that pool, so to speak. Like they weren't like steering people or guiding people into that. Now, granted, I do recall seeing some Whatnot gear. I saw one Whatnot hat, and I can attest to that being homemade. The Whatnot hats that they had on the floor were only there for employees, and they were at the Whatnot booth. I saw one homemade Whatnot hat. But Whatnot wasn't pushing people to go specifically to Black Flag for that. No, it was a group of friends that were kind of like, well, the Con 101, where do we split up and where do we go and then trade at the back end of it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And just to back up again, I will say, thinking about what I can and can't say based on privileged information, I will say that pretty much matches everything I've heard from everybody, especially people. I think I could just safely say this. Like, there's the people that were directly involved say that Whatnot did not send them there, and I believe them because they had no reason to lie to me, and they were honest about plenty of other stuff. And Whatnot, Jack DeMaio has been on talking about the situation in a lot of streams, can back that up. Now, you could say, again, this is that indirect cause thing. You could say, well, there are Whatnot sellers. Obviously, it's going to be in their best interest to go around and buy up books that are going to be hot for their streams, that are going to be from that stream floor. That's true, but seriously, that is true of everybody who's buying in that line to resell. And let's be honest with ourselves. In that line, how many people do you think were there only because they wanted a copy for their personal collection? There were some, for sure. I know there were. But I bet you most people in that line had reselling in mind when they think about buying a con exclusive. That is true for everyone.
Pretty much everybody out there, whether they admit to it or not, speculation is something we all do when we buy comic books and we collect comic books. It's just speculation has a very multifaceted definition of, like, I'm buying my books on Wednesday at cover price. That's a form of speculation so that you don't have to pay an upcharge if they hit the secondary market, or people that don't buy on Wednesdays and try to get them out of the dollar bin. That's a form of speculation as well. But my favorite point that I want to add to this that hasn't really caught on, people don't really know about it. I've tried to bring this up. The guy directly in front of me, no exhibitor badge, no VIP badge, standard Friday pass, snuck in somehow and was like within the first like 6, 7, 8 people. Like, there were people at the very front of that line that didn't have anything to do with exhibitors and didn't have even VIP badges. There were people that snuck in somehow. And I remember the McCormick place, the floor where the convention's at, there's multiple levels below that. They don't have security at every single angle and every single door of the entire facility.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked that people in front of me didn't even have badges or they had a Friday pass. But people, I mean, like, that's fact. I was there and I saw that Friday pass and that guy and no other badge. And the next person in front of him had no badge at all. And then the guy behind me that had nothing to do with Whatnot and had nothing to do with anybody else sidesteps and then cuts right in front of everybody else. There was somebody that actually did cut that was wearing a mask that's not on IG or YouTube or Whatnot, does the old 1-2 sidestep and does go all the way forward and acts like he's introducing himself and talking to somebody and then ends up being next to buy. That did happen.
Social engineering kind of way of cutting in line. I've seen that at, a lot of different events where, midnight release for a video game or whatever. I've seen people do that. It's like, oh, hey, hey, and you're just like, oh, were they with them? And everyone's like, why didn't somebody call that person out? And it's like, in a lot of those situations, you're thinking about it for so long, like, maybe they were meeting them, maybe they went to the bathroom and they came back and I didn't see it. And then by the time you're done, it's like, what am I going to do? Like, a minute later, be like, hey. Most people probably aren't going to do that.
Yeah, but Buddy with a great question there.
Yeah, well, and there's that, and then just the decor is following up, and I want to give some time to that. Unfortunately, the exhibitor badges that were given weren't homemade. Whatnot may not have directly told them to group mentally for exclusive. Yes, but unfortunately, they are associated with it. So, I mean, I'll point this out because I'm kind of leading the witness here. I know the answer. Andy, did you buy your badge?
No. And
okay.
In a way I did. Let me know when you want me to add to that and how I had to pay for that badge.
Why don't you go ahead and tell people now?
I worked for that badge. I worked for that badge in like a 94-degree, not air conditioned, no wind, no breeze convention floor for, I don't even recall how many hours, to unbox pallets, open things up, put out product, organize things, and just be a part with friends and have topics or have conversations and be there. I put myself in a position, not because I'm an employee of anybody, not because I have zero contracts and I have zero obligations to anybody there at that convention. But what I did as a friend, I arrived a day early because my wife and I wanted to experience Chicago as well, and said, okay, things don't always go perfect. Let me know if you guys need help. Sure enough, weather delayed several flights coming in. There was weather in the Chicago area and somewhere else, if I remember correctly. And lo and behold, I get a message from another friend that says, hey, Stash Loot that is setting up the booth does really, really, really need a hand. So that's factual. It's I can't remember. There was another stream we talked about that. But what I did is I went in, I signed in. I got they give you a little red wristband. And then once you get on the floor, here's an exhibitor badge. Please help. I worked, I don't know how many countless hours on that Thursday and gave up time with my wife so that I could help out my friends and kind of have fun and be a part of that experience, because the convention experience is fun, but what's also fun from my perspective is what happens before and after, what it takes for a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff to happen. So did I pay for the badge out of my pocket? No, but I paid for that badge with a very sore back and a very sore set of shoulders and arms and legs. And I think it was 12 pallets. No, 10. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I worked really hard.
Yeah. And and I'm not, not trying to highlight that just because of what it is, but I mean, there are multiple reasons why people were in that line early. And some of it's because they had VIP passes. Some of it's because they snuck in. Some of it's because they had exhibitor passes. And that matches with everything I've been told so far. And to Decor's point, I actually am not 100% sure that some of the people involved had passes that were directly given to them by Whatnot, but let's assume they did. Let's assume a few did. There were other people that have access to the show floor early. So is your problem really Whatnot having given out passes to people that they have contracts with or whatever happened to get them in? Or is it that anybody has access to the show floor early? Because here's the thing. At every con, there are always dealer-to-dealer deals before the show. That is what happens. There's people that need to get in. They need to set up. And yeah, they talk. And a lot of, they talk about stuff for their PC. They talk about stuff for their booth. You have some stuff you're like, I don't know if this is going to sell this weekend, but I know this guy wants it already. Let's get it to him. I have this exclusive. I'm, not comfortable that I might sell all 3,000 copies I have. I got 500 to this guy. Those kind of deals happen. And if you have problems with that concept in general, I understand that. I think that's fair. But I think it would dramatically change the con scene, maybe for the better, maybe. But to single out Whatnot itself just for the badges seems a little myopic to me. That's my personal take on that opinion, because I think there's more to it personally. But I respect your opinion. And I'm glad you brought it forward. I understand your perspective. Decor, you and I have had some conversations, and I'm more than happy to continue those. Maybe we'll have you on the show at some point, and we'll discuss some of that stuff further as well. I want to make sure that time is given to all opinions here. Speaking of which, real fast, is before it disappears from my screen here, I wanted to thank Comic Journey, who came in with a $5 super chat. He raises one quick point that I think we should address real fast, because we do want to move on to the CBCS topic. They should be banned for 5 years. Problem solved. I saw you saying that a couple times. I have it on one report that I cannot confirm that Black Flag was removed from Boston on Sunday by Boston con organizers who were informed by other people, I think an artist, at the show. I cannot confirm that. I have questions of the authenticity of that statement, but that did happen. So that does make me wonder if con organizers talk, there might be some kind of chance of that happening. But even better, here's what you do. If Black Flag buys a booth and they go to a show and you don't like what they did, don't go there. Don't go support them if that's what you want to do. And I wouldn't go to a Black Flag booth other than to see what's happening. I would probably walk by it to see, what kind of insulting candy they're giving out at their next show or whatever. But other than that, that's my advice there. And we do have Atomic Frank as a new channel member. I appreciate that, Atomic Frank. Okay, so I do want to value my guests' time, and I do want to discuss the CBCS topic here for a second, because I think it is a doozy. So let me share the article I have up for that real fast.
Hold my beer. That's all I can think about with this whole yeah.
So I know it's pretty small here, and I know that this information has been out there. I'm sure a lot of people in the stream are familiar with this, but I'm sorry if you can't read that. It's really hard for me to zoom in on it. I tried. I'm not really on Facebook. I actually joined Facebook really recently. I tried to get into the Clan McDonald selling group. I sent an invite. I imagine they're pretty busy right now dealing with some stuff, because the biggest reason I want to do that, by the way, is to get a comment or to talk to somebody and see like, hey, is there any more information you want to provide about this? Offer a chance for them to talk about this. I know Reggie from Reggie Collects on a live stream yesterday talked about how he spoke with Steven, and he said that he's waiting for CBCS to make some sort of comment. Reggie assumed that would happen soon. Hold my beard. That is great. K-pop, hats off to you. I just wanted to kind of offer that I did try to reach out for comment here and try to get some context and see what's going on. But the short version of the story here is that CBCS has lost a bunch of comic books from a vendor that has submitted a ton of comic books to CBCS for the last 7 years. They lost 367 books. Why did that just go away? Oh, did that window just close? Oh, that is terrible. Hang on, let me pull that back up, folks. Sorry. I don't know why that happened. Okay, can I share that again? Please stand by. We are experiencing technical difficulties.
That's like 15 25 book pre-screens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
There we go. So I can actually read this. Okay. So the books were submitted in July of 2021. CBCS is not able to locate these 367 currently. After they say they've submitted thousands of books, which later on in this same post, Stephen McDonald goes on to say that he guesstimates at over 25,000 books. Now, I'm a big believer that if you are a business, if I'm selling you a comic book, if I'm selling you a brand new modern comic book and you buy it for $3 or $4 from me on an auction or something like that, I'm going to treat that comic book as if it was worth $100. Of course, if you're buying some ridiculously expensive comic from me, I probably will throw in some extra protection and that kind of stuff because that protection costs money and I can afford to do that because you're buying expensive comic from me and I want it to arrive safely. But my point is I try to treat small orders in much the same way that I treat large orders. I try to treat small customers that buy me from me once the same way that I try to treat customers that spend from me a lot. I might throw in some extras for huge repeat customers, but that's something that any customer can get from me. If you're treating a customer that has done this much business with you, 25,000 or more submissions, and I have no reason to doubt their claim, that how are you going to treat, me or Joe off the street that barely ever submits to CBCS? That's the first question that comes up here. But basically, what they go on to say is, I should point out too that there's been some back and forth, and part of the frustrations they're expressing here is that there's been a lot of communication attempts, and there's been a lot of different people handling the situation. This happened when Steve Borak was still with the company, and Steve Borak is no longer with the company. So there has been multiple communication flows that have happened since then. They did express some distaste in how it's been handled since Steve left. Apparently, the communication got even worse. And the other element to this is that what they did is last summer, and the way I'll kind of just read what he says here. He says, last summer, they were behind, and someone at CBCS had the brilliant idea of taking submissions delivered to their headquarters in Dallas and re-shipping them to an employee out of state to assist from their home in receiving comics into the CBCS system, then send them back to Dallas for grading. But no one there could tell me when my books would be done, and believe me, I spoke to several employees. Also at that time, I was reassured that they were moving in a few weeks, which turned out to be a few months, and that when they moved all the comics from their safes, they'd be able to get me better answers and ETAs. This, we know now, is likely false hope. So I think that's kind of the main thrust of the problems here. By the way, I just want to thank Collector P for your $5 super chat. I'm going to write you down for the giveaway, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for all your support, Collector P, so I don't forget. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. The booty of the week. Yeah, the booty of the week is a fan favorite for sure. Gotta love that. And it's just shout out to my wife for being the one that I came with that idea, and I was like, I shouldn't do that. Should I? She's like, you should do that.
Hey, Han.
So I love it. So CBCS losing 367 books, and not just losing 367 books, but sending them to an employee's home. When they brag on their site about having on-site video surveillance, when they talk about how securely your books are going to be kept during the grading process. The main extra point I want to add to this, and I didn't reach out to this person, so I'm going to be careful not naming a name, But a couple of years ago, I had an individual who has done thousands of submissions to CBCS that was personal friends with Steve Borak, that runs the largest comic book shop in about a 4-state area. So when I say thousands of comics to CBCS, I am not kidding. That was his preferred grading company of choice. They let me know, and this was years ago. They had no reason. This story wasn't even around yet. They had a situation where I believe it was approximately 100 books were lost and never recovered. And I don't know how they were compensated. I didn't get that far in the conversation. I didn't feel like it was polite to ask because they were sharing that information with me. And this is somebody who was a personal friend with Steve Borak, and when he was with the company, obviously. If you're not familiar, Steve Borak is the founder of CBCS Comics and their head grader for a time. Now he is with My Comic Shop in Texas, which his exit is now interesting too, of course. So, Comic Man Andy, reading through all that, listening to the story, and being all familiar with it already, how do you feel about this story?
They're taking working from home to a whole new level. I mean, when is this ever even morally or professionally even glimpsing in somebody's head is a great idea from a business standpoint? Because your quality control inside your building, you're struggling to maintain 80-90% quality control. Once those books leave your doorstep, there's zero control, which is exactly why they have us sign the paperwork that we do, that if anything happens to and from, they're not held responsible. So how I have no words to even. This is one of those proverbial shit sandwiches that apparently we've all got to take a bite and see what happens and where this ends up, because I can't control any of it. But
I did leave out one point too. Shout out to CMC, Clan McDonald Comics. Again, I hadn't heard of them before this, but now I'm definitely interested in joining that group and seeing what they have to offer. This has got to be such a devastating. I mean, you're talking about 367 books. Like Andy was saying, that is a lot of submissions. That is more. I mean, I have never done 367 books with any grading company personally. Probably pretty close to that, but that's over my entire lifetime as a collector. What they have done is, since they don't know what's going to happen, CBCS is still looking for the books. CMC seems hopeful that there might be a chance to find them or that they get reimbursed. But what CMC is doing is they're taking care of their customers. They are refunding their customers, which means they are losing a massive amount of money on this. I mean, if you guys don't know, comic operations are not high margin. They're not running like huge amounts of profits. Now, if they're dealing that kind of volume, they're probably a bigger company. Hopefully this is something that isn't going to sink them as far as that goes, but this is going to be a massive, one at a time financial hit for any company. The value of those books, people paid them for the books and the grading services that they expected to be paid for, and they're not being reimbursed for that. So beyond the fact that this is a terrible situation, it also leads into this problem now where you had a lot of trumpets the last few weeks, and I was one of them, saying, well, since I'm not doing CGC submissions anymore because I have problems with the ethical considerations involved here, I am going to go and start, using CBCS if I want to grade comics. And EGS was the other company that came to mind when I thought about that as well. Well, now CBCS is totally guilty of doing something crazy, irreprehensible here when it comes to sending books to a person's house, which is nuts, and losing the books, losing 367 books. Like, how does that even happen short of theft or total you would think that the books would turn up and be sent to other customers or something. If anything, they should all theoretically be in a warehouse, or it happened during the move. But that's not really true, because we're talking about stuff that happened last summer is when the submission was made. So that doesn't make sense unless they were keeping things in like trucks, and those trucks, got driven off the lot and people misplaced them that way or something. There's no realistic explanation for this. And more importantly, we don't have any comment from CBCS about this yet. There does seem to be a lot of speculation that a comment is coming from CBCS soon. But we're talking about another grading company that is now in deep, doo-doo with their hardest fans, if you will. I could say shit. I don't know why I decided to shy away from that. But also as collectors, if and there's a lot of people out there that are gloating. They're sitting high on their horses now because they've said all along, like, you shouldn't be slabbing books anyway. And what, if you don't want to slab books, I'm not going to hate on you for that. I have no problem with that philosophy. That's up to the collector. Just like I don't have a problem with people that want to slab books, because if you don't like it, you can always crack them out. Not a problem. So they're high and mighty about this right now, which I think is just, probably a little deservedly so, I guess, in some situations. But if you're a collector, what does this leave you with? What kind of options does this leave you with? And we all know there's a couple of grading companies out there. There's PGX and there's EGS. There are people that support PGX. There's people that support EGS. I've had Tony Trombetta from EGS on the show talking about his new slabs he has coming out. I was in contact with him a little bit yesterday. I'm not going to disclose any of the conversations I had with him, but I was in contact with him. Probably something that I'll want to talk about him with a little bit more coming up. Maybe have him back on or something like that. We can kind of discuss that. I had planned on, because I think the new slabs look cool. I've always liked their custom label. I plan on doing some books to EGS. I'll be honest, from my perspective, not really for investment or for inheritance or insurance reasons, which is why I usually slab, but more for display, more to like put on the wall with the custom labels. I think some of those books look really great, and I'd plan on doing that once he had the new slab in hand. So I think that'll be an interesting conversation. I think there's a good chance he's going to have some more business coming his way. I've seen a lot of EGS, a lot of PGX comments out there. But frankly, 100% honest, none of these companies are without their own scandals or flaws or, quality control issues or things that have happened to varying degrees. Of course, CGC is probably, the king of that, with just as much of volume as they do. It's not really surprising. And then CBCS coming in with a lot of mistakes as well. There's been plenty of mistakes for people getting stuff from CBCS. But if you had any more thoughts about that, Andy, go ahead. I'm gonna kind of scroll through the comments here, make sure we're addressing the chat.
I do hope, like, Tony's a good guy. I hope he gets a little more people searching for grading and looking up his information. But it's just, the timing is so comical because of what happened with CGC and acetate gate. And then everybody out there is like, this is probably a really good time to start up that CBCS account. It's so godforsaken comical that you spin around and CBCS loses 367 books, and everybody's like, oh, wait. I don't know. It's like, it's absolutely, utterly comical.
No, it's like the weirdest, like, I saw a couple comments today about like, and I won't name names again because I'm not into that, but it's like, can we just get back to reading comic books and like all this stuff? And it's like, man, if the drama would stop coming, if the hits would stop coming, for sure. But obviously people are gonna be talking about this. Shout out to Automatic Comics saying CBCS will refund them for the book. So that wasn't the information I had most recently. And again, I tried to get some more updated information. I have a lot of faith that you might know more about the situation, and hopefully that's true. I do hope that's true. That would obviously be the correct outcome from CBS's standpoint. And also shout out to Nick Barucci. Always nice to have Nick in the chat. It says Steve McDonald and his team are great people. We're helping and replacing at a deeper discount to help them out. That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that, because again, that has to be a big frustrating loss for that company. Again, hopefully they do get reimbursed for that, of course. If people are too young to remember here about how the 90s were in collectibles, you're seeing it happen now. That one stings, buddy, because I believe you are correct. It's just, I had hoped that wasn't the case. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, hey, thanks, K-pop. I appreciate that. The Copper Age Babe is my lovely wife, if you're not familiar. I was born in the Bronze Age. She was born in the Copper Age, so she's a little younger than me. Yeah, that is nice to hear. The sending of books to someone's home is pure insanity. I agree with that, Automatic Comics. That is the part of this that just drives me up the wall. Like, it's weird enough to lose 367 books, but I also have a concept of how many books they have on hand. I have worked with large million-piece inventory type environments before. I know that it might seem crazy, but at a certain level of volume, 367 is a rounding error. I mean, it is a box that could get misplaced. It can happen. It obviously shouldn't happen. If they have cameras in their facility and they're talking about it, you would think like, hey, we should know what area that was stored in. We should be able to go back and look at the camera, see where the box was moved, and at least have an idea of how it flowed out of that area to somewhere where we couldn't locate it anymore. But yeah, that is nuts.
It's not funny, Andy. Stop laughing.
It's the timing is pure comedy gold. The actual situation is not funny, but timing wise, I agree with you. Just from a can't we move on perspective, like I wish. When it comes to the resale, slamming is still necessary in most cases, regardless of how people feel about the companies. Well, and that's kind of automatic. That kind of goes back to the point I made earlier in the show, where it ultimately doesn't matter. We can get up and say all we want, and I will continue to do that. I'll continue. Right now, I'm not supporting CGC or CBCS. That's just where I'm at. And I'm not trying to tell anybody they need to do that, but I am letting you know that's probably a good avenue to go to if you really don't agree with these companies. That's the best solution I've come up with besides providing this information and talking about it. But at the same time, large companies, like what CMC was doing, like those are they submitted over 25,000 books to CBCS. I was watching Reggie's stream last night. He brought up a great point. You added up everybody in the live chat and himself, and they probably haven't submitted that number of comics in their lifetime. And he had like 150 people watching or something. We're just a drop in the bucket when it comes to the graded collectibles market, and it is a machine that keeps going. And all of these folks out there, that keep buying the slabs and buying the new ones and pre-ordering the new ones, it's all adding into it. And they all have their own interests at play, and it's important to consider that. Looking forward to the newer slabs from EGS. I am too. I think that's a good point.
I'm pretty excited because they're doing military for veterans. They're doing veterans labels for slabs.
Yeah, and that's that's a good time to plug X11 Bravo. Definitely go follow him on IG. That is a fantastic cause that they help run. Battle 66 Delta, Battle 66 Panda. Both are part of that as well. It's a husband and wife team that are the husband is a veteran, and they go out and help a lot of people. They support causes like Comic Man Andy. I help support them as much as I can in different ways. And so I just want to give a chance to shout them out and kind of, they're one of the ones that worked with Tony at EGS to help develop that veteran label. And I think that's really, really important and cool. It's being used in a really cool way for some veteran giveaways that helps kind of support a group of people that, there's a lot of veterans in the comic book community that are struggling. They're dealing with stuff. They're dealing with depression. And I mean, that's true of everybody in the comic book community, but this is a group that's particularly at risk. They're prone to higher suicide rates, prone to a lot of issues that really need more awareness. And I think we need to take better care of. So this is one small way that we as a community can give back to that. So I always support that. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it was two brothers that posted that meme. I couldn't remember, but that was great. That was gold. That was gold. Yes, it was. You're right. It was over several submissions. What I didn't know is that whether or not those several submissions were, because you could make several submissions and send them all at the same time. That's what I'm not sure about. But I will tell you that I have for sure, besides even the story I told about that large comic shop, I have heard of other people having their books lost by CBCS. It was a really big problem a few years ago. I heard a lot of stories, and they're mostly anecdotal, but still, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Well, that's the thing that's interesting about it, Manny, the Hobgoblin Collector. Thanks for joining the chat, by the way. When you say that they were probably already sold, a lot of those books were actually like exclusives that I think CMC had some, and this is one of the things I wanted to ask them. Like they were talking about some smaller studios and some exclusives, and it makes me wonder if you start seeing those books out in the wild, is there any of them where they're like, hey, that was our exclusive, and we can therefore say that this book got out into the wild? That would be truly interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, and I see, there's a comment about EGS in there damaging books. I've had, very close friends in this community talk to me about every grading company making mistakes to their books and every grading company damaging their books. Yes, every single grading company that grades comic books have damaged people's books. Again, I always say, the way that they make up for that matters. And it sounds like you did try to get some resolution there. If that didn't work out, I definitely would be interested in hearing that story. But at the same time, you know, I know people that have been ripped off by CGC, people have been ripped off by CBCS. And that does speak to this whole greater point, is like, is it still worth grading your collectibles when it comes to comic books right now? That, I think, is kind of where the discussion should go. It's up for individuals to make that decision, of course. But I've said for a long time that I want, you know, another company or two involved in the grading comics space to have more competition at a serious level to keep other companies on their toes. I think we've seen over the last, you know, month here what happens when you let these companies run basically unchecked. And if you offer some real competition to them that does drive value, that's the biggest thing. I think it's not a surprise to say PGX and EGS slabs are, if you think about how much less CBCS slabs go for than CGC, those two companies go for even less, generally speaking. And so until we fix that as a market and we get a real contender in there that can compete with CGC's pricing and make all the other companies respect better practices, if that's how they do it, we're going to continue to see these problems.
Or how about innovation? Like, innovation, like how far are we from another couple of companies coming in here and really pushing the envelope and really pushing CGC and CBCS to the point where we're laser grading books via computer? I mean, how far-fetched is that idea to put a book on a little, not treadmill, but a little alleyway, and it goes into a computer and a laser hits it and it spits out 9.6, 9.4? Well, the subjectiveness of grading at that point should be kaput.
Yeah, and I know I've had people talk to me about that before, and I have yet to see any actual information, but I want to say that there's some talk of CBCS doing that at some point, and that could be complete hearsay, but it would make sense because they're using some of that Beckett technology that uses signature verification via computer. That's not the only way they do it, but it is one of the parts of the process that they talk about. So it makes sense that they might be exploring that option a little bit more clearly. And then if you had another company come along and if the computer was grading and the formula didn't change for whatever books are put into it, then that is definitely a step towards impartiality, which is something I think that, you know, we all would definitely be in favor of, at least in principle. How it's executed matters, but that'd be good. That'd be good for sure.
Let's be honest, there has not been a lot of innovation in the last 15 years.
No, there really hasn't. I mean, even down to the fact that, you know, you think about CGC and CBCS's labs, they've come out in these labs and they're still not UV protected, right? I mean, they offer some tiny inherent UV protection just based on the fact you're adding a physical barrier. I believe that type of plastic they use probably blocks a couple percentage points or something. I don't know the answer, but I know it has to block some of the light. But it's nowhere near, you know, some of the UV protected comic protection options that are out there. There's third parties that sell a UV protection for their comic books, and that's just one element, right? Like, I think there's a lot of people that do slab for display purposes, and if that's the case, you would expect them to consider that when it comes to their technology. There's you know, things like we are finally starting to see like more of the QR codes to get the grader notes. CGC still isn't offering grader notes on all their books, but at least there's, you know, kind of steps being made towards that. It's all little tiny steps, though. It's none of it is, you know, something that is revolutionary or earth shattering.
Transition cases.
If we have transitions, yeah, that's funny. That is funny. Well, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about this topic. I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts on it, Andy?
I don't. I'm the kind of person that tends to start giggling about things that I just like shouldn't. Like, I find the hilarious aspect of the timing and just this situation, because I laugh because it can only get better from here. At least that's what we hope.
Yeah. It's something that, you know, the comments I see in the community about oversight, about trying to push the envelope for what we can do to create more transparency, to demand that. I'm just going to, keep, if you're really upset about these bits of news from these grading companies, the best thing you can do is the same thing you would do as if you're upset at, like, say, Marvel and DC for the way they make their comic books or whatever. And there's people that have different issues for them for different reasons. And then what do they usually do? They usually don't buy those comic books because they don't want to support them. And that's fine. That's the best way to do it, is to vote with our wallets. It's a tough economy. A lot of people are hit pretty hard. So really choose to what you spend your money on. And if you don't want to buy a slab comic book right now, I don't blame you. Buy a raw. And also, if you want to buy slab and you still prefer that way, I think that's your prerogative, and that's I support the fact that you want to do that too. I may not agree with it, but I support your decision. Yeah, that tends to be where I fall too, JM. But I respect all opinions. Agreed. Okay, so we're gonna do some giveaways, and we're gonna do an AOK unboxing. Andy, I know you were hopping on after dinner. I really appreciate you doing that, by the way. Do you need to get on with your evening and take care of that stuff, or do you want to hang around?
Yeah, actually, I do have to get going. If you don't mind me plugging a couple of quick things, and I can head out.
Please do. That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, for sure.
I'm really excited. Speaking about whatnot and streaming services, Big Clutch of Skybound Image invited me and a group of other individuals to do an indie week drop of the Battle Damage X25 or Skybound X issue 25. So there's going to be an indie week show happening tonight, starting on whatnot. I'm going at 10 o'clock. There's somebody going at 9, JJ's Comics, and then Brian McClay is going at 11, and then Skybound and a number of other people have a full event tomorrow for indie week. So there's just a handful of copies that are going to be hitting. It's pretty cool. We're having a lot of fun with that. But thank you so much for having me on, man. Remember, the mission for the year of 2022 is supporting Mission 22 over on my own YouTube channel, where all monetization, all super chats, all super stickers, everything is getting donated to Mission 22. We did the first half of the year donation. We're looking forward to the second half, finishing even stronger. And don't forget to check them out. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting finish to the year.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, it's only going to get more wild, right? So somebody else is definitely going to make the headlines, but it's important to keep focused on the things that matter, like supporting charities, like being positive in the community, and also, I'm going to say it one more time, like respecting that transparency that you've had in this situation and telling people what's going on. We've seen that it can have consequences and blowback. And I think that it's important to remember how we respond to stuff in the community matters just as much as the situations that we're upset about and have feelings about and have money at stake involved, all these different kinds of things. How we respond to that also matters. And having people stand up in the community like yourself really helps out. So I sincerely appreciate that, man.
I appreciate you, man. Really appreciate everything you do on your channel. And thank you again so much for your time. And everybody in the chat, I appreciate each and one of you guys that come and hang out when I'm live on YouTube and IG. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody brings their own selves to the table, and variety is the spice of life, right?
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you, brother. And thanks for coming on the show again. Hope you have a wonderful evening and have a good night.
Thanks. You guys too. See you soon.
Right on. Well, give it up for Comic Man Andy. Really appreciate that. Make sure you go follow him on YouTube, like you were saying. If you're on Whatnot and you want to support Whatnot, go ahead and follow him there as well. He's an entertaining person to watch for sure. And he, like I said, he's got integrity. I want to support integrity in the comic book community right now. So we are going to do some giveaways. So quick reminder, you got a chance still. I got some people in for the Sweet Paprika giveaway. It's signed by Mike DeBalfo. We've done enough here. Let me unlock the next prize. I'm going to unlock one more super chat prize for you, and I'm going to throw in this Black Adam. That's the first appearance of White Adam. That is going to get thrown in there as well. So I'm adding that book in, and I got one more book here. If we get, we get a decent amount more of the super chat giveaways, I'll throw in another book there for people. And once again, that Sweet Paprika was provided by Collector's Choice Comics. So speaking of Collector's Choice Comics, let's do a giveaway. I've been reminding you throughout the show to go ahead and Do the giveaway here. Sorry, I was checking the message real fast. So I want to make sure I got all the messages loaded in here. Cool. So the book we're giving away is this Closet #1. This is signed by Chin Potter. This is Chin Potter's cover. He did an exclusive for Collector's Choice Comics. See if I can get that without the screen glare on there. You can see the magnet reflection on the back of my filing cabinet for my comic books. And it does have the COA. And I'm going to use a random Instagram comment picker for that giveaway. And then we'll do the Super Chat prize giveaway. And I got to unbox an AOK too. But I wanted to give something away to kind of thank everybody for being in here and being civil and being constructive and expressing your opinions, which is exactly what I want. I don't expect everybody to agree with my opinions. I don't want everybody to agree with my opinions. That would be super fucking boring. So what I would prefer instead people do is voice their opinions in a constructive way on here. And I appreciate that so much. Hold on. I got a couple more super chats running through I want to grab because I like to grab those before I forget them. First, I got to scroll real fast. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody after Collector P and make sure his super chat gets in there. That is something that's new for me, is having so many comments in here. I really apologize if I didn't get to somebody's comments. I tried my best to highlight all the ones I could see coming through that I wanted to do. That's still a new thing for me, so I appreciate your patience with that. I need to stop sharing that screen. If I didn't highlight your comment, it's most like, I mentioned one comment I didn't highlight, but I did talk about it. It's not because I don't want to talk to you about the situation. It's probably because I was either too busy or not focused. I do try to give everybody equal time as much as I possibly can. Speaking of which, Buddy McKinley did his $5 super sticker there. I really appreciate that. And thanks for the support, Buddy. Hope good luck on winning the comic books. And I got I don't need the Black Adam, but hey, from Preston, and he's going to get in there as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in. We're adding in a book here, so you're going to get the Jimenez failsafe cover, the cardstock variant. So that's going to get added in. So you got the Jimenez, the Sweet Paprika, and the Black Adam. Or I mean, it's the first appearance of White Adam, but it's Black Adam #2. First full appearance of White Adam, I guess, is the character as White Adam. That's what I should say. So that is the super chat prize, and then we're going to do the drawing here in a second for the Closet. That's to the IG. Trying to make sure I didn't fire. Just a heads up, I posted a bunch more sealed card packs on my page for sale this week. Oh yeah, cool, man. I appreciate that, Barbarian. Oh hey, Kim's coming in. Hey Kim, how's it going? Oh hey, I love your Zerdy pick there with Baroness on it. That's great. If you guys don't know, I'm a big Baroness. There's a bunch of Baroness stuff behind me, but I'd have to move. It'd be weird to show it all off right now. But I'm a big Baroness fan, and Kim is a big G.I. Joe and Baroness fan. She actually wrote into G.I. Joe when she was a kid and got her letter published, which is really cool. We read that on the show one time. 56 through 60. Kim, good luck, Kim. Thanks for joining the show, and I appreciate the support. Really, I do. Okay, so let me get this Instagram giveaway up on the screen for you. Tab, free Instagram comment picker, and I got to add it to the stream. There we go. Okay, so here's the URL for my Instagram post. I have that up there right now. I'm going to go ahead and scan it, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the validation that I've picked the right post. So we have 33 number of people attending the sweepstakes. There is a number of minimum mention 1, number of winner 1. Okay, so we're going to hit the find winner button. Good luck, everybody. I hope good luck in winning the Closet. Okay, I'm getting a call from somebody. Hang on. Find winners. Oh, that's annoying. It won't stop ringing. Okay, congratulations. Here are the winners. Wait a minute. That is hilarious. So I think that's probably to a reply that Collector's Choice made. And I'm going to go ahead and re-roll that because they don't get to win their own comic book. I don't think they'd want it back necessarily. They were nice enough to send it over for that giveaway. So let me see here. Can I go back and set this up? Oh my gosh, I gotta kill this Instagram call. How do I? Oh my gosh, dude! Somebody's like butt dialing an Instagram group I'm part of, and even muting notifications. I can't stop it going off in my ear here. Here, I probably don't need that right now because I don't have to listen to Andy. I wanted to make sure I could hear him without my air conditioner being too loud. So there's the solution we'll go with. Okay. So that was funny. I got to double check chat. Oh my God, now it's playing over my. that was insane. That was driving me nuts. So we're doing a giveaway. Congratulations, Collector's Choice. We're doing a giveaway for the Closet #1 by Chin Potter, signed by Chin Potter from Collector's Choice Comics. And Collector's Choice Comics won because they made a comment on that post. So we're gonna have to do a redraw here. It's hilarious. Okay. Okay, winners are determining. Please wait. Are you kidding? Register to see more because I've already done one giveaway. Oh, this is not cool. Not cool. And does anybody know a good Instagram giveaway site? The first one I found, I had to like connect Facebook and stuff. It was annoying. Oh my God, that is so freaking ridiculous. All of it could have been avoided if they just hadn't won the first time. Yeah, tune in next week when we do the giveaway. Sorry about that, folks. Let's see if I can. Oh, man, I'm so afraid one of these is just going to be a virus. And I got to open Instagram back up where I was getting a butt dial from somebody. Go find the URL from my post. Hopefully this one will work. And hopefully it doesn't draw if it draws Collector's Choice as the winner again, oh my God, I'm going to flip. Okay, so I want to be transparent about everything I'm doing here. Here is the site I'm using. It is IGRCP, Instagram Random Comment Picker. That's what that stands for, it looks like. Load comments. Up to 40 comments. That should be good. General settings. Zero out of 34 loaded. Loading done. Filtering. I don't know if it's drawing right now or what. Pick a winner. There we go. All right. Good luck, everybody. Hopefully this one works. Circumstances. What's up? And Circumstances did tag 3 people. Circumstances was in here in chat earlier. Are you still in here, Circumstances? I lost so many viewers during that debacle. I know Circumstances was in here earlier. I wouldn't blame them for bailing after some of the problems we were having. Hopefully they're in here, but either way, I'll go on to my IG. Let me write down the name just in case they don't pop in here. The biggest thing I'll need from you if you're watching on the rewind, Circumstances, is to reach out to you. I'm sure I can do it through IG, and I'll get your shipping information. But I do need your shipping information so I can get the book sent off to you. That's the big thing. Congratulations. Thank you for taking part in that awesome giveaway. So sorry that took so much time. That was like unbelievably annoying for me. I can only imagine how frustrating it was for you guys. I want to talk about one more giveaway that's live. If you still want to win a comic book and you don't want to do a super chat, which is fine, I'm doing another giveaway on my IG, and it's for this Yoon Predator #1. This is an exclusive for Cyberspace Comics. It's not even a shared exclusive. Get the reflection off the bag there. And it's really easy to win. All you got to do is go to my IG page. And that's Cyberspace Comics right there. It's not even a shared exclusive. It's all theirs. Predator #1. You're going to get a trade dress copy. They're going to send out to you. It's a beautiful Yoon cover. There is some first appearances in there. And all you got to do is go to my IG page, and it's a similar thing. You just got to leave, follow myself, follow Cyberspace Comics, and leave a comment tagging 3 friends that you think might want to win the book, so they can come in and do the same thing. You know, kind of the whole chain letter kind of approach, right? And you might get a chance to win that book too. So we'll do that giveaway in a future one. Yeah. Oh man, it's not. It's like I've said many times. It's every single stream. It is absolutely not a Bronze Age nerd live stream without some kind of technical problem. Oh, Preston, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I didn't do the Booty of the Week giveaway. I will do a booty giveaway for channel member, though, which you are a channel member. I will do a booty cover on that for sure. But again, this one was for the IG closet book. So circumstances just won this book because of the IG giveaway. So I'm going to put that book away now. The Predator, you can go win on my IG by doing what I just said. And by the way, you know what? Here, this is for Preston. Bow, 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 chicka, chicka, bow. All right. This is the booty cover of the week, everybody. People might be wondering what the booty cover of the week is. It's this Brett Booth Cyberforce 30th anniversary. That is a 90s booty right there for you. Brings back memories. So that was the booty cover of the week. There you go. We'll show that for Preston. I know he saw it already, but you never know. And then the Super Chat prize, which there's still time to enter into, like Kim just did, for example. You get the Sweet Paprika signed by Mike DeBalfo. You get the Black Adam, which is the first appearance in costume of White Adam. And you get the Failsafe, first cover appearance of Failsafe. So that's your Super Chat prize. We're going to give that a little bit more time because I'm going to unbox this AOK. And I'm going to unbox this AOK from somebody who's famous now. This is from Danny Girl Comics. Danny Girl Comics, surprise to everybody, got called on to the Reggie Collect show the other day. You might remember Danny Girl's comics from my live show I did with her. Make sure there's nothing I can't show on here. So here's the weird thing about this is she told me she was sending me this. And if it looks beat up, understand she sent this off months ago and USPS lost it. I think she was going through like a claims process and everything. And it just showed up. Let's see. What's the mailing date on this? From June 7th. So this is from June 7th, and it just showed up. Keep it up, USPS. So it might be a little beat up inside. Not her fault. I'm sure she packed it really well, but she wanted to send me an AOK. So we're going to open that up. I'm trying not to show the address there. Probably should have done a better job at that. Get this pulled out here. That's what she said. I'm gonna read her note. It seems like that's probably okay. Hey Bronze, this is just a small thank you. You have been so helpful and encouraging to me. You are such a good dude and a wonderful comic YouTube community member. Stay awesome, Danny. I really appreciate that, Danny. I feel pretty strongly that she's a great content creator as well, that I hope more people start following and checking out. I think she does a good job on her YouTube content, like her kind of like how I started out with a lot of stuff like CGC submission kind of stuff. Okay. So, oh my. Chat's going to love this. Okay, everybody. So she sent this great blank. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to turn it around for you. So hopefully there's some Harley Quinn fans in here. If you have kids, you might want to divert their eyes. That's your warning. Check out this. That is awesome. That's very sexy. Shout out to Danny Girl Comics. That is great. And this is signed. there's a quote at the bottom. Sometimes the only way to stay sane is to go a little crazy. And she told me the artist on this, but it was a couple months ago. I forgot the artist's name and I can't read the signature. I'll post it on IG or something later, I'm sure. But if you know the signature, that's a real sign too, not like on the print. If you know that signature, by all means, let me know. But yeah, that is awesome. Thank you so much for that, Danny Girl Comics. Yeah, we got a little damage on the corner, but this thing has been through the ringer, clearly, with the post office. That'll probably look pretty good in a frame. I don't think I can display this currently because I have a 3-year-old daughter running around the house, and I try to keep it PG. But that is going to stay in the collection for a bit, maybe part of a giveaway too later on, something like that. That'd be really fun, and that is really awesome. Thank you very much, Danny Girl. Appreciate that. And I'm actually going to use that whole thing there as a segue to talk about another topic. And this is actually, believe it or not, somehow this is going to be a little controversial. Let me go. Now, here's the deal. I wasn't going to talk about this. I really wasn't going to talk about this. Hang it up in the master bathroom. Yeah, that would be fun, but my daughter also uses that bathroom. It's the upstairs bathroom. We don't really have a true master. So the reason I'm using this as a segue is because Danny Girl is nominated for a CBC award. A CBC is the Comic Book Community Awards. And in a couple Discords, I gave her some props for being nominated. There's a lot of people that were nominated. This is their second year doing the Comic Book Community Awards. And here's the controversial part. And look, so here's why I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it because I'm nominated for a couple awards. And my plan originally was to not talk about that. I don't want that to be the focus of this or whatever. But what I've seen last year and this year about the Comic Book Community Awards is a lot of toxicity and a lot of venom. Big surprise when it comes to the comic community, right? So look, here's how the Comic Book Community Awards work. They're created. I might talk to this guy at some point. I have never had a conversation with him, short of him messaging me, letting me know I was nominated. Brian LCS runs it, and it is something that I think he created as a way, I'm assuming, to highlight stuff he thought was good in the community. I know he has a YouTube channel. I know he has an Instagram profile. I haven't really watched a lot of his content, to be honest with you. But last year, a lot of people were super mad. And I kind of joined in on a little bit, like on personal level, just to be honest. Again, I'm fully being transparent here. Because I was like, wow, like I didn't even know about this. There's all these channels that I would have thought would be on here that aren't on here. But here's what you need to realize. Because I have seen, since these nominations came out for the 2022 awards, I have seen big YouTubers shit on it and act like, well, I can't believe that, like, I wouldn't be nominated, or I can't believe so-and-so wouldn't be nominated. Well, here's the deal. First of all, it's just somebody who created it. It's not like it's some official body that you need to, like, bow down to. It's just somebody who's trying to do something in the community. And here's the other part of that. And here's why I really need to talk about it. Viewers, like my viewers, are the ones that went and nominated people. And also you could nominate yourself. I did not vote last year for nominations. I did this year. I did not nominate myself. I nominated channels that I thought needed highlighting or that I thought deserved the categories that they were being nominated for by me. There are lots of YouTube channels out there where people would go and they'd show you who they nominated. I watched Comic Bookworm did a duck race where I won for best facial hair, I think. Maybe it was best speculation or whatever. And he did a duck race because he couldn't decide. He's like, all right, and then I won the duck race, and so he nominated me. I watched that stream. I have never told anybody to go vote for this. I never told anybody to go nominate for it or anything like that. But that's my viewers that did that, apparently, because and Comic Bookworm in that case. And then the only thing that I'll give you is there should probably be a little more transparency into what happens with those nominations to get to the final list of nominees to be in that category that you can now vote on. And we will highlight that for a second. Now, I understand there maybe should be a little more transparency there. I know he was on Reggie's show last night as too, and he talked a little bit about how there were 10 people that helped decide that, but I didn't really fully hear how. And if he said that and I didn't hear it, that's my bad. I was dealing with a 3-year-old at the time. But yeah, the nominations are now closed. Committee review is complete as of 8/18. Finalists announced on 8/19. So it's been about a week. I know that he came out and said that 250 people have voted. Last year, they only had 500 people vote total. So we have 11 weeks left to vote. It's a much bigger turnout. And that's my thing is if you don't like how something is working, that is a community participation program, you need to fix that because you're part of the community and you can go nominate yourself. You can tell your viewers and your fans to go nominate you and vote for you. Again, I have chose not to do that because I'm weird. I don't know. That's just how I operate. But I really didn't want this to be about me being nominated for awards, but you can kind of see here, I am nominated for a couple of them. We're talking about it. I'm not going to ignore it now. And I will just say in this, I'm nominated in this top 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers, best speculation comic investing content. And I'm in a category with some great YouTubers. JP's Budget Collecting, Newbie Comics, Keep It Thorough, Bruce and Stephanie Comics. I admit, Bruce and Stephanie Comics, I have not watched your content. I'm going to now. I'm going to go check you out. And I have not voted yet. I will vote once I get a chance to check out the nominees. And then I will vote. Like I said, last year I didn't vote. I didn't nominate. And then the other category, which last year I believe it was just best facial hair. I can't remember. But best mustache, facial hair, hands, or hair. And Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics, Tylox the Mighty, who was in the chat earlier, I know. Cole's Comic Claims, Simple Simon, who I recently started subscribing to, and Bronze Age Nerd. So I'm in those two categories. Do with that information what you will. You can kind of go to cbcawards.org and check out, everybody that's nominated. That's fine. You can go back and you can look at the 2021 winners. That's fine. What's not fine is saying that you have a problem with how it's running. You have a problem not being nominated, but you're not part of it. You're not part of the solution. It's not like it's a closed system. Everybody was free to nominate. I know I was I wasn't part of it. I was watching a Pressable Defect stream last year where Debucho went off about this last year. And I appreciate how he went through and he read off a giant list of names of channels he's familiar with. And my name was on there. I appreciate that. And so were some other people that were snubbed for the awards. That's pretty common award talk. But you got to remember, award shows are bullshit. Award shows are bullshit. Oscars are bullshit. Emmys are bullshit. All are bullshit. The one that maybe had a little bit of credibility with me was the MTV Movie Awards or the People's Choice Awards because they're fan voted. This is also fan voted. So I have some credibility for this. It's a fan contribution. Circumstance. By the way, do you know you won Circumstances? I wish we could get people to promote the awards rather than ignore it, but I get it. And so for me, I didn't want to influence people and make it seem like I'm trying to say, go nominate me or go vote for me. That's not my intent. If you go to the CBC Awards, I want you to pick whoever you think deserves to be the winner of each category. It's kind of unavoidable for me to talk about the fact I'm nominated at this point. But yeah, that's the point I really want to make is maybe a little less venom about the fact that this exists. Create your own award show. Support somebody to create an award show that's you feel is more impartial. But I do know when Brian was talking about the numbers, they were pretty respectable. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was 180 channels or something were nominated. I mean, you think about it, that's a lot. Maybe channels and pages. That's a lot of pages. That's a lot of people. He's talking about unique nominations. That's a lot. And you could say maybe everybody should be in there from the beginning, but I don't know that I could go find everybody in the community in the first place. His page has been there. This happened last year. That's how I started following last year. When it all happened, I started following. And I was like, okay, when next year comes around, I'll check it out. That's what I did. I wasn't really like up to it, up to all the information that was happening last year. And when it happened. And so once I started following, I was like, hey, if there's things I want to change about this, I'm going to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, I actually, I think I nominated Drunken Chat. I'll disclose that. I don't know that I'm the only reason they ended up on the list, but sorry, Barbarian. I apologize that you weren't nominated, but I mean, so go to cbcawards.org and you can vote. By the way, Michael Hinton is Hoodwood Comics over on IG. His name doesn't say that here, so I like to point that out. He's a good seller over there. Yes, people in general will complain about everything. No, Skep didn't make the cut. I because of that comment, because I'm reading that comment, I feel like I should point out other people that are controversial recently did make the cut. That's awesome, Luke. I do appreciate that, Preston. Thank you very much. So that's kind of what I had to say about that. We are going to wrap up the show here. I do have to do the super chat giveaway. You got about a minute left if you want to do your super chat for a chance to win the Batman 125 cardstock, or if you want to win the Black Adam, first appearance of White Adam. That's a cool cover. And the big prize, the signed, limited to 400, busty secretary style version of Sweet Paprika. That's how I'll think of that one as well. And it does have the COAs from Collector's Choice. And huge shout out to Collector's Choice. Again, not a sponsor of the show. They sent me a couple books that I get to keep. I didn't ask for those books. They just decided to send them. Kevin over there is a really good guy. Go follow them over on their website. And you can also watch my video to learn how to. There's actually more comics you can win, by the way. If you go and comment on my video where I talked about free comics, it's a red thumbnail. It says free comics. It shows that Sweet Paprika on it. You get a chance to win another book that is really cool. Triple signed. Big book right now. Do a Power Bomb. And that has 3 signatures on it. And then there's Chin Potters down there in pink. So that's really cool. That just go comment on that video when you're done with this feed. Preston Eckridge in the house. Nick Berrucci in the house. Yeah, sure. Collector's Choice is awesome. Like, I like the way they do business. I bought some stuff from them. Great packing, really friendly customer service, transparent. That's the kind of stuff that I like to support. So we're going to do a super chat giveaway. Oh, wow. We got super chat coming in from Nick Berrucci. Here's my super chat support. Please do not place me in the contest. The contest is for the fans. Love your shows, Chris, and happy to support the community. Nick, I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Look forward to doing some stuff with you in the future. And thanks very much for coming in here and supporting it. As per your wishes, I will not enter you in the giveaway. If anybody does a super chat afterwards, I'll place you directly after Kim, who was our last super chat. But I do appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, I'm going to pull up a random number generator, and I'll do the screen share for that. So you guys got about a minute with lag to do your super chats if you want to get it in. And thanks again for the support there, Nick. I'm going to leave that up on the screen while I'm hunting around for my random number generator. Yeah, EXP. Oh man, I still have that card sitting here. I won. Go check out the EXP. I think it's the EXP Entertainment on YouTube. And I won this Aaron Moriarty signed Starlight card on that stream. Check that out from the boys. Love Starlight. I was the second winner. The person before me chose, of course, because why wouldn't you? They chose the Anthony Starr signed Homelander card. But I got that one. That is really cool. So I have that sitting over here, and I appreciate that. The EXP experience. That's what I thought. I'm subscribed, and I get the alerts. So we're going to give that about 30 more seconds. Let's see. While we're doing that, I do want to thank Comic Man Andy for coming on the show tonight, talking about some important issues, willing to discuss what happened, that transparency piece, which, again, I have said is the most important part. If you really want to be negative about people in the community doing things that you don't appreciate or didn't like, I think you also need to be positive about people doing things that you do think is what they should do. And that's what I'm going to choose to focus on. I'm going to accentuate the positive in a way. It's not that I'm going to ignore the negative, but I am going to go ahead and try to reinforce the positive behaviors that I want to see in the comic book community. I think that's an important thing. I think that's something that should be taken into consideration when you're doing things like voting for the CBC awards. She's not a second choice. No, I agree. I actually, so when I was like trying to figure out if I was going to have first or second chance, or if the other person would have chose Starlight, I was actually like, man, I'd be happy with either of these. Those are both really cool prizes. And part of me was like, Homelander's the obvious choice. And in my head, I'm like, if I got the Homelander card, I'd probably sell it, you know, to be honest, because I'm sure that would fetch some money. Anthony Starr is very famous in that role. And I was like, but if I got the Starlight card, I'd probably keep that. And that's what I did. I kept it because, so in a way it worked out because I got to keep the card and got to enjoy it. Like Homelander's cool, but like kind of hard to like, you know, I know it's an actor doing a job, but it's kind of hard to like admire him to me. Starlight, very admirable character, and I really enjoy what she does on the show. So that's really cool. I like Aaron Moriarty really brings something to that role. Okay, so we're gonna end the super chat line here. If you happen to get a super chat entry in after this, yeah, I need to watch Banshee. By the way, that's a good point. I've watched a couple of clips after seeing The Boys. I really want to watch that show. I've heard good things, and he's a cool actor, of course. We got some problems on the side, like a lot of people though. He got in some trouble in the super chat entry. So if you get a super chat in after this, I'll go ahead and add you to the next show if that happens. But let's do that giveaway winner. I'm going to share the screen here on the comment picker, or the random number generator, I should say. Add that to the screen so you can see what I'm doing here. So I had $60 in super chat giveaways tonight, donations to the channel. I have your list written down here. I have like a list, and I'll highlight the winner that the number corresponds to. That's how we're going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit generate 3 times, and we're going to get that third number. That'll be the person who wins. Okay. All right, let's ride. Good luck to everybody with the super chats. I really do appreciate those. Thanks again so much for that. We're going to hit it 1 time. That's 16. 2 times, 43. 3 times. The winner is 53. The winner is 53. And that is, oh boy, I'm sorry. You got to read my writing here. Especially because I was doing it on a Post-it note. I usually do it on notebook paper. But the winner there is Preston. Preston Eskridge was 51 to 55 for his super chat. He's the winner. Congratulations, Preston. I will get your book shipped off to you. I already have your shipping information, so that's easy. Preston's always a big supporter of the channel. Okay, so I'll talk about a couple things before I go. Thanks again, Preston. I am on Drip now. I'm going to throw that up real fast. There's a link in the description below where you can follow me on Drip, and you get a $15 credit. I get $15 as well. Again, I'm all about that transparency. It's basically like Whatnot, free shipping up to $10. So if you bought $9 worth of shipping, like you bought, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 comics from me on my Drip stream, you would pay no shipping. I pay no shipping. You get the comic books, what you paid for them, and then shipped to you for free. If you bought $12 worth of shipping in my comics or whatever, you would pay $2 shipping. And that's for every live stream. So if I live streamed on Monday and you had free shipping and you bought stuff, and then on Tuesday you did less than $10 in shipping and you got stuff, those would be free. That's really cool. I can do flash sales on there. So I can say, hey, here's my buy it now item. I'm offering it for the next minute and a half for 20% off, and it'll pop up on screen. So I think that's a really cool thing. I'm not off Whatnot. I'm actually supposed to be on there in about 10 minutes. I'm going to have to delay that stream because this show went long. Sorry. I will go on Whatnot again. I will do YouTube auctions again. I have viewers that prefer each platform, and I want to sell to you guys on those platforms that you're most interested in. You can also hit me up directly. You can hit me up directly through Instagram. You can hit me up directly on my Discord. We have a sale channel on my Discord now. Link to the Discord in the description below. Come join the conversation there. The last thing I'm going to talk about is sponsorship. And I debated whether or not I was going to talk about this. But I had a comment come through today that I don't think was mean or serious, but I've heard a couple things, and I just want to talk about sponsorship real fast. I have sponsors on this channel. I disclose those sponsorships to you directly when they happen. Right now, I only have one sponsorship of like somebody that is giving me money directly, and that was for Cyberspace Comics. And they had a really cool approach where they're doing this thing where you can go buy their exclusive Predator comic, but you also can go and just buy stuff from their store by adding it to their cart. And if you buy enough stuff, you get the comic book for free. It's a cool, different approach. It's thinking outside the box, and I like that. And they wanted me to do an ad to spread awareness about their campaign. And so what I do when I have an approach like that is somebody comes to me and says, here's what I want to do. And I say, okay, does the company seem like they're on the up and up? Would my viewers be interested in what I'm having to offer here because it's unique or it's something they're interested in? These are the questions I ask first. What's the benefit to the channel? And I'm not just talking about money. There can be other benefits there as well. Building these relationships. Maybe I get discount codes for you guys, for my viewers, from some people. There are people that are listed below as partners or affiliates or whatever, where you can go use my discount code. I don't get anything for that. I don't get money from that. I've never gotten a percentage from anybody except for Gemini. Gemini is down there, and I am an affiliate with Gemini. If you go buy $100 worth of Gemini stuff from Gemini's website, I think I get like $1. That's it. That's the way it works. And I have to accumulate over a quarter so much, and then they send me that. It's an affiliate link where you can go get that. And then as part of that, you get a discount code. I am always going to be transparent about who my sponsors are. I'm always going to tell you how I'm making money off of stuff that I'm talking to you guys about. That's very important to me. And more importantly than that, even, I am not going to do a sponsorship with somebody I don't believe in or somebody I don't think is right for my viewers. I have turned down sponsors before. I currently have a sponsor that has approached me that I'm kind of like, I'm really trying to decide if it's right for the channel or not. It's a clothing thing. It's not really about comics, but they're like cool, nerdy shirts, but they're not like nerd comic shirts. They're more like about space and like kind of just like this cool style. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, is that right for me? And I haven't made that decision yet. But it's something I've talked about on my Discord with my viewers, because I think it's important to have that kind of conversation. You guys, have to sit through my ads on my channel. I don't want that to be boring to you. I devote a lot of time to this channel that's away from my family, that's away from being with my daughter, that's away from being with my wife or my parents. And I need it to kind of pay for that time to a certain extent. And YouTube money is not much. They won't give out a higher rate than this right now for my type of affiliate. I think it's 5%, I want to say. And there are codes out there for 10% off. There are. From what I've been told by Gemini, they're phasing those out though, and they're not going to do them anymore. Like they're going to take them away essentially. So that's the one I offer. But again, full transparency. I know there's codes out there that give you more off. That's how I roll. But when I do these things, like I do need to have it. Like I don't work, guys. I don't work a job because of the situation I'm in with stuff right now. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I do this to help support my family. I help the few comics I'm able to buy for myself these days are purchased with being able to sell comics. And I do use my platform for that. And you guys know about that because I'm very obviously telling you what I'm doing with it when it comes to that. And through things like, super chat giveaways like people did tonight, or through sponsorships. And I do get paid some YouTube ad revenue. It is not much money. Like, it's not much. Like you have to make $100 a month in ad revenue to get a payout from YouTube that month. I have not been monetized for, I think it's less than a year now. I've had months where I don't get paid out, and they do roll that over the next month. It's not like I don't get the money eventually, but it's like I don't meet that threshold. So we're talking less than $100 a month some months. It depends on the month. And I'm going to be transparent about that. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat things, but I'm also not going to like hide sponsorships from you. I'm not going to hide deals from you. Like like, this is for example, no one's actually said this. Let's say somebody said, you're defending Whatnot. You must be getting paid by Whatnot. If I was being offered some kind of deal or paid for Whatnot, I would tell you any arrangement I made with Whatnot, and this is a purely hypothetical example. Whatnot does not sponsor me in any way, shape, or form. Trust me, they do not. If anything, they probably aren't happy with some of the stuff I say, would be my guess. I don't know. They haven't told me that either. But if I were to have any kind of relationship with that, I would make that like part of the deal. Like, hey, I need to be able to tell people about this. I had a sponsor approach me and say, you know, hey, I'm interested in sending this product for review. And I said, okay, here's the deal. Actually, so two different people approached me. And I said, here's the deal. I would like to do a review of that product. It'd be nice not to have to pay for it. But you need to know I'm going to be brutally honest. And I'm going to tell everybody that I'm talking to that I am being given this product for review. That is how this is going to work from the outset. And those times that those people approached me, they've all actually responded very well when they approached me that method, because then they've said, awesome, we want to do business with people like that. And they could just be saying that, you know, I guess that's possible. But those are the kind of relationships I'm building with people. And if you ever have a problem with any sponsorship I do, if you ever have a problem with me doing sponsorships, please tell me. Please contact me and talk. I'd like to have that conversation with you. I'm not going to be a dick to you about it. I'm not going to tell you you don't have an opinion on it, because I make this channel to talk about stuff I want to talk about, learn new types of skills. That's actually why I started the channel, to learn new types of skills, you know, have that social outreach with you guys and gals and everybody that's in the chat. And also to help, now that I don't work anymore at a day job, to help support comic book buying, pay for food and gas and bills. And that's literally what this is. So that's what I make money for. And I wanted to talk about that. It might seem like too much, or you don't need to talk about it, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like it's important. I feel like that. Tomb, deep respect for your integrity and transparency. I really appreciate that. It's part of the game. Do it if you want to. If you don't know, I get paid from the YouTube ads if you watch the whole ad. I'm not really, you know, gonna tell you should watch the whole ad. That's up to you. I will tell you that channels that I want to support financially, I watch the whole ad. I do. Like, that's how it works for me. Anytime I try to shop directly from the Gemini site, they say they can't honor the discount code because they're currently not shipping to Canada, and they direct ship me from the Gemini eBay. That's interesting. I'm sorry to hear that, GT Key. I didn't realize you were Canadian, by the way. Hello to our folks, our brothers and sisters in the Great White North. Hey, Danny Girl Comics is in the house. Danny Girl missed the unboxing. We'll show it one more time for people that might be joining into the chat. This is what Danny Girl Comics sent over. Fantastic art. Boy, she must know me well. She knows that I'm into the pinup type stuff, and I'm into the Harley Quinn, so that's really awesome. Signed. That's really cool. Danny, can you plug the artist for me, because the name escaped me, and I was so busy before the chat I forgot to copy that down, but I know you know the artist. That is fantastic. It finally arrived. It's a crazy story. You know, actually not that crazy. If you deal with UPS a lot, it's probably not that crazy, but how much do people get for the ads that last over an hour? There are ads that last over an hour? Dude, I've never seen that before. I don't know if you're just kidding or not, but are you making a joke about their content being an ad kind of thing? That's crazy, Kim. Mine, I've seen like a minute and a half or 2 minutes before. And I will be honest, YouTube, they've gotten pretty aggressive about it, haven't they? I used to have YouTube Premium, not working, you know, a day job anymore. Can't afford that. YouTube Premium, like a lot of the streaming services, I had to go. And that is one of the things that went, but boy, I miss it. YouTube is a lot of what I watch when I watch, you know, content, which isn't that often really, I guess, but that's crazy. I'm glad you made it too, Danny. We were talking about that. By the way, Danny is nominated in the CBC Awards. Again, I'm not going to tell you to go vote for me, but Danny does get my endorsement for the CBC Awards for the category she is nominated in, which I can't remember off the top of my head. It's best unboxing. Is it 1,000 to 5,000? I think. Dominic Glover. Thank you again for that plug. I think I went and started following him after that, but holy crap. Well, please don't watch any hour-long ads if they show. I've never had that happen before. But yeah, it's like 1 cent back. Yeah, like a millionth of a cent back, basically. Wow, it is not much. Okay, so let's see. We talked about Drip. Go check that out. There is a code for you to get $15 on Drip. I will still be streaming on Whatnot. I have a stream that was supposed to start right now. I obviously need to push that back. Sorry if you were going to follow my Whatnot stream. I will try to do it later, and I will post about that. We did the giveaway for the IG closet. We did the giveaway for the Sweet Paprika. Those are both from Collector's Choice Comics. Again, not a sponsor. They sent a couple free comic books my way that I did not ask for. I really appreciate that, but I want to be transparent about that. And instead of what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away 4 awesome signed comic books for free. Essentially, I did one as a super chat giveaway because it was freaking sweet and I thought it deserved it. And hopefully Preston is happy with his win. That's a long drink. I went out and came back in just to watch the nice. Thank you very much, Dave's collection. That's fantastic. And we talked about CBC. So if you want to watch on the rewind, you're just watching now. We talked about CGC's latest update. Comic Man Andy came on the show. We had a long conversation about his role and everything. We kind of rehashed some of that, which I wanted to support him for his honesty and transparency and everything that happened from the beginning with that stuff. And he talked about how his CGC books, he can finally get them back raw. They're not the Clayton Crane C2E2 acetates. He doesn't have to get those graded. He submitted them from the con floor. He called CGC later that week and asked to have those not submitted. By the way, I can verify that since he talked about it on the show. He messaged me before he called CGC. I knew he was going to do that. He made a video, I think it posted on that Tuesday or Wednesday on his channel about how he was trying to cancel those books. And he is trying to take proceeds that come from those books and donate them to Mission 22, which is a stream that I will be doing in the future, a charity stream for Mission 22 to support veterans. Big help from the comic book community with that, and I can't wait to support that cause. We talked about the CBCS losing their books. We talked about the state of grading collectibles when it comes to comic books. Hey, White Shadow in the house. White Shadow, your ears were probably ringing from earlier. We mentioned you, and then you were another person that we gave props to in the comic community for being honest about what happened. And I give you double props because not only were you honest about what happened in your first video, which is so crazy. You made that video and I had no knowledge you made that video until after I made my video. And then I went back and watched it. But then what you did, which I think is awesome, is you came back and you made a follow-up video and you tried to explain things the best way you could for what the line actually looked like, because there's people that still want to know and they were still curious, and whether you care about those names or not, some people definitely do. I don't really support that too much, but they did. You tried to explain, like, here's what I saw, here's what I was talking about, here's why I didn't see the front of the line and how it wrapped around the booth, and you tried to clear up misconceptions. Mission 22 awesomeness, 100%. It does seem to be that there's some of that going on. I've heard from various sources, I can't confirm. I've heard we're closer to a comment from CBCS, but I can't confirm that. They better. They're going to be forced to pretty soon. Yes, yeah, and you donated proceeds from your sale as well, and that should not be overlooked. I think that's a good thing to do with these books. I mean, these books were not cheap. And for you to do that, you know, I think that was a really stand-up thing to do personally. So you have my respect. But I know for a fact, you know, Andy, Comic Man Andy, White Shadow here, Chip, have both had stuff directed at them for stuff. And it's just like, I urge you, when you're thinking about these situations, really think about what your issue with the problem is. Think about the whole situation and try to direct your anger to something productive to change a behavior we don't want to see in the comic community. And I think there's a lot to be said for Black Flag's involvement. There's a lot to be said for CGC's involvement. And there's a lot to be said for convention behavior, but not limiting the books, the quality of the book to begin with the questionable stuff on the cover. I've talked about it a million times. But anyways, 100% plus the topper to even it out. Thanks you for... Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome you did that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, I'll say one more thing about it, because there's people that are like, you're only trying to be buddy with people and stuff like that. I understand why you might think that. It's not the case. I assure you, I wish people could kind of verify this, because I've told people this before. If I wanted to run my channel in a way that was all about getting views and all about being part of a clique and all about trying to be part of like that in group, if I ran my channel that way, it would be much different. I do not ask people to like and subscribe. I very rarely reach out to people, and for a long time, I never reached out to people to be part of this channel or to collab or to jump onto their stream. I have done it a couple times. Most of the reasons that I've done that, examples, Danny Girl Comics. I asked her to come on this channel because I thought she deserved more exposure in the comic book community. I thought she was an interesting voice in the community that we needed to hear more from. I asked Skeff to come on the show. I did an interview with Skeff a long time ago in the early days of me. Like, I was just getting accepted as a seller on Whatnot. I asked him, and the reason why is because in chat, in our live streams that I was doing, just when it was just me, Skeff came into the live stream, and a lot of you said, you guys should do a video together. We joked it was two beards, one comic, I believe was the joke that was made. I love that line still to this day. And so because of that, I reached out to Skeff and I said, hey, a lot of my supporters would like to see you interviewed about this topic. I think it's something great we could talk about. And that's why I did it. When it's natural, when there's a reason to do it. Comic Man Andy messaged me earlier today about what was happening in his comment section and DMs about what happened. And I said, hey, actually, no, he didn't message me. He posted about it. And I think I messaged him and said, hey, what are the other options they gave you? And can I get screenshots of that for my live stream today? And he said, oh, I'm going to try to be there for that live stream. And I said, well, if you want to come on. I mean, that's the kind of natural thing I'm talking about. I don't want to be buddy with people. I've had people reach out to me, like Journos. Chris at Journos Comics reached out to me about being on his show. And I was like, this is a cool topic. I can get behind it. At the show I was on, he was going to have Como on, Como Comics, Drew. And I was like, I want to hear what he has to say about this topic. I want to be part of this conversation. I want to move the topic forward. That's why I do this stuff. That's the only reason why. I do not want to be buddy with the comic community purely for clicks. I want to earn every subscriber I have down there. I want you to have decided these are the videos I want to watch on YouTube. I want to devote my time to it. And I want to earn that by making the best possible YouTube videos I can for you, by offering you a unique take, a devil's advocate approach, something that is mutually beneficial to us, by making something different, funny, unique. Those are the kind of things I want to do. That's why I do this, because I've been shown by people viewing that is what you want. I listen to my viewers when they say, I want this kind of content. I didn't want to do a tour of my stuff, but people kept asking. So I started to do a tour, and I need to do part 2 of that, by the way. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. Speaking of part 2, I will do the part 2, which is the comic book storage supplies I use is going to be the part 2 of that. And part 3 is going to begin showing off my X-Men collection. And I'd like to have that up for my birthday. My birthday is September 6th. I'm turning 40. So I'm going to die the next day, because that's how turning 40 works. It's going to be sad. No, I don't give a shit. I'm turning 40, whatever. I'm going to call it the Fantastic 40 stream. It's going to be pretty fun. I don't know if it's going to be on my birthday, but it's going to be right around my birthday, like within a day, if nothing else. September 6th, I'll do a live stream for that. By around that time is about the time I wanted to show off my X-Men collection, because part of my X-Men collection, maybe I'll even do it on stream. That'd be interesting. Part of my X-Men collection is something that's special for my 40th birthday. If you don't know, I've been buying comics that are the year of my birthday. I started last year with X-Men 39. I'm going to keep doing it. God help me when I get to X-Men 50. It's going to be tough. But so, issue 40 would be on there, which is the first appearance of Frankenstein. So we'll see. We'll see if I made it. But I wanted to kind of time those things out around each other. 40 is the new 20. Being the father of a 3-year-old girl when you're 40, though, is tough. That's my only child. She keeps me going. Oh, you revealed too much. Uh-oh. You're doing it for the clicks? Yeah, I hear you. Filthy influencer. Bronze is one of my kind of peeps. He truly hates me, but gives me props. So can't be too bad. I do not truly hate you. I'll be honest. I don't know you well enough. I just watched a couple of your videos and I respected what you did. And I'm subbed up now, and hopefully I'll be enjoying some more of your content later on. That type of extremist hyperbole is the worst thing going on in comics. I might miss the context to what you were talking about. I just want to make sure I go back and nail these comments. So yeah, that's going to be kind of what's coming up on the channel. I do owe you guys another top 5 not to buy and a couple more recaps. By the way, I'm splitting up my recaps now. 3 months later look back, 6 months later, and 1 year later look backs at my top 5 not to buy lists. So those are all what I have coming out. Will be coming out on a more regular basis. They're going to be shorter videos. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. I know those videos were getting kind of long, so I'm trying to shorten them up. And then I'll keep doing the top 5 not to buy. I got a fresh key collector list out to look at. Not that that's the only list I use. I use key collector. I use CBCS. I use cover price, various sources for that. So that's what we have coming up from the channel. I'm going to remove the banner for the end of the video. No more advertising. So thanks again to the people that super chatted. Thanks again to everybody that supported me. Thanks again to everybody who was part of this chat. Even if you didn't agree with me, we had some voices in there that didn't agree with me, didn't agree with Comic Man Andy, or didn't agree with some of the things going on in the comic book community. Awesome. Awesome. That is 100% what I want. I want respectful, honest discourse about what we can do, about what the real problems are, and what we can do to fix them. And that's what I look for. And I really appreciate people that come here and be a part of that. If you're interested in having those kind of conversations, hit me up. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I was out of context. From White Shadow, hint, don't buy acetate from Black Flag. Just a small tip. Spoken like a man who's been there. I appreciate that. For now, I'm not slabbing books, going to buy them in the wild. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I guess I didn't really say that too much. I'm not slabbing with CGC. I'm not slabbing with CBCS. I'm probably going to do a few with EGS because I want to see the new slabs, and mostly for display purposes. They offer a tiny bit of UV protection. I mean, but these are going to be books that I think they're cool covers. I don't really think of them as investments, and I like the custom labels, and that's what I want to check out. I will still probably buy slab books in the wild, especially older books that were previously slabbed. But when it comes to the market, I respect CBCS's prices. I respect, other grading companies that are doing reputable grading. And I think that's the big differentiating factor is you have to respect the market prices and not overpay just because it's a CGC slab, for example. That's another way you can influence the market in a positive way. So that's how I view it. It might. Gosh, the staple thing. The very last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll sign off. The staple thing is this. What matters is how many number of staples that were part of the official manufacturing process for that comic book. That's why it matters. Not every cover is added, especially when it comes to special types of covers. Not every cover is added on the same run through the printer. Some of them are added an hour later. Some of them are added the next day. Some of them are added, because they want to change out the print mechanisms to roll the covers on. Some of them are added much further down the road. And this is from talking to several exclusive comic book dealers. And what matters is when it was officially created as part of that production process. Now, as we know, when it comes to the UF4 comic book, the Clayton Crane one that's in question, that acetate cover, that one was not created with Marvel's approval to create that comic book. And that's where the problem lies. No matter when the staples were added, that's how they made that comic book, but they didn't do it the right way. They didn't request permission from Marvel to do that. Acetate covers, because this is a misconception I see a lot, are attached with a different number of staples. There are acetate covers out there with 2 staples, acetate covers out there with 3 staples, and acetate covers out there with 4 staples. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It's how it's made. And a company like CGC, like CBCS, like EGS, like PGX, needs to contact Marvel about some comic book that comes across their desk before assuming it's a legitimate product and grading it and authenticating it. And if they knew ahead of time that it wasn't authenticated, that is a whole nother ball of wax. That's what I'll say about that. I want to buy Catwoman 51, but the FMV right now makes me cringe. Yeah. So did Catwoman 51 jump up mostly because of that that new homage cover? Is that why? Because I see it's been going nuts. I actually saw a really good deal on one. It sold, unfortunately. I saw a really good deal on one. I had a couple people mentioned that I see on different circles. Like, I'm looking for a Catwoman 51, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I just kind of file that stuff away, and I like to get back to people and be like, hey, I saw one for a good deal, and I send them a link to the IG page or whatever. And that one sold real fast. Man, can you wait? Guys, can't wait till the 5 staple comes out. Everyone up in arms about CGC and the shady side of spec. I get it, but I would like to see more collectors speaking out against toxic hate channels using comics to peddle intolerance. Toxic hate channels using comics to peddle intolerance. Interesting. Hit me up if that is so. Just some rando. Hit me up if you have some specifics in mind there and something I might do. I avoid some types of content because I think it fuels that type of conversation, but I'm not saying I wouldn't talk about it. Adam Hughes will cost you. Just ask about Power Girl. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Run out of the office, get a stapler. Absolutely. Okay, guys. Thanks for everybody for being a part of this show. I am going to wind it down here. I don't know when I'm going to reschedule that Whatnot stream for. Maybe like 6 or so. Is that the Raza Virgin? I have one right now, Iron and Steel. Sorry, it sold out. I got a second wave one that showed up on a comic site. Certainly no cutting the line involved. All right, so yeah, as K-pop says, that's a good way to end it. See you nerds later. I just want to thank everybody for being a part of the stream tonight. I know I've talked a lot. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Discord, IG, in future streams, in comment sections on my videos. I just want to remind you, until next time, hey. Read comics every day. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you in the next one, and take it easy.